What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Fantasy Endgame Week 17 edition. You know what that means. Not just getting ready for a new year after tonight, but getting ready to bring home some fantasy championships because it's championship week, at least for most of you. Like I know some of you go all the way to the final week of the season. More power to you. Look, nothing wrong with that. Just know that's going to be a little crazy next week, but we'll still be here for you. But of course, we're here for you right now to set those lineups to help you win if you're in the finals. And here's the good thing is if you're still watching here, either you're just a really, really loyal member of the Endgame community, which in that case, we appreciate you. Thank you for watching. But also you're probably in at least one of your championships. So we're going to get you all the information that you need, answer as many questions as possible, like always. Flying solo today because Chris, well, he decided to start celebrating early. No, I'm not talking about New Year's Eve. I'm talking about his fantasy championships. He's already convinced he's got them wrapped up. So he's, popping the cork in the champagne and he's out celebrating, partying it up. No, I'm just kidding. If you know Chris, like I do, then actually you know that he's the last guy who would probably do that. It's the very opposite. And he's just having a nice family gathering tonight. He'll be very responsible, of course. I'll be drinking it up a little bit later. But first, I'm here to answer your start sit questions. And so before we get to that, of course, there are some reminders I need to get to you. First of all, if you are, by some crazy chance, first time viewer, or you've only been on a little bit here and there, seen some of our videos, but you haven't subscribed, this is the best time. Your New Year's resolution really should be to win multiple fantasy football championships next year. I guarantee that watching us will be one of the best ways to do that. So if you haven't already, then hit subscribe, hit the like button. Definitely would appreciate that. You can also join our Discord. It is absolutely free, and we're in there all the time. Chris and I are in there pretty much every day at some point, putting comments, answering questions. You want breaking NFL news? Look, our news channel is pretty much posting it as soon as it gets out there. So that's the best way to get your NFL news immediately. Put your notifications on for that. There's also a bunch of other channels. Look, fantasy baseball starting up. We got a fantasy baseball channel there. Videos are going to come out soon. I'll be on top of that as soon as football ends. So there's a lot going on in the Discord. Definitely check it out. We also want to mention that we do have some sponsors and partners that we're very proud of. First of all, Bear Clothing. You always see it repped right here. Bearclothing.org. You want endgame merch for the new year. You want to rep where you got your help from to win that fantasy championship. You want some endgame merch? Check out Bear Clothing. All right. So you go to bearclothing.org, the homepage, go down the very bottom of the main page, and you'll see a section for the fantasy endgame. Get hats, shirts, hoodies, and more. All right. Also, we are still partnered with Manscaped. All right, got a new promo for the new year. 20% off still. Use promo code ENDGAME. Free shipping, 20% off still applies. Like I know Christmas is over, but it's never too early to get a Valentine's Day gift for yourself. All right, so there you go. And then also, can join the Patreon, patreon.com/fantasyfootballendgame. The link will be in the description. You go to Patreon and look for us. If you want to be a patron, we do a Zoom with our patrons. We do this, but just with patrons every Sunday morning, 2 hours before kickoff, answering all the questions we can. Just getting to know our guys and hanging out for a little while and trying to set those lineups for multiple leagues. Answer all the questions there. It's a good group. Or if you just want to join us, maybe you don't have time or you don't need the Zoom call, you just want to support our channel besides just hitting subscribe, become a patron. That definitely helps us out, and we appreciate that. All right, now, if you've been with us all season or if you've at least watched before, you know how this works. We'll answer as many questions as possible. I'm going to get a ton of comments here because I know a lot of our endgame community are in the finals, ready to win a championship. Cannot answer them all. We'll try to do as much as I can. The super chats will be first, guaranteed. I'll answer all the super chat questions. So we'll be on until that happens. And well, I almost forgot one more thing, by the way. I know it's the end of the season, but if you want help for draft advice or maybe for next week, you can also join us one-on-one if you want to join by downloading the Did It app, DIDIT, on iOS devices. That's something else we're now doing. All right. Before I get to the questions and starting out with the chats, we already got some lined up. Let's talk about injuries. Unfortunately, you know how this goes. Fantasy football sometimes is pain. It's week 17, playing for all the marbles. You're missing some star players. We've only even had one game far. We had a Thursday night game, and already two of the best running backs in the entire league did not play. All right. And yes, I'm bitter because I did have Derrick Henry in multiple leagues. But, anyways, let's start with out. Not playing Jalen Hurts. There's some thought maybe he'd come back, kind of practicing. No, he's not playing as we suspected. No Jalen Hurts. That means Gardner Minshew, still a decent streamer. Lamar Jackson, he was never coming back. He's not playing. Probably not playing next week either. Tua, you know the deal there. Concussion protocol. Who knows what the situation even is there long term. Don't want to even get into that. But Tua is definitely not playing. You're going to see Teddy B back behind center. Road game against the Patriots. Yeah, I know you're going to be a little nervous about guys like Jalen Waddle. I am too. He's not unplayable. Waddle is still a stud. Doesn't need to, have that connection necessarily. Doesn't need a ton of targets. But the last time Tua was out, Waddle did take a pretty big hit for a couple of games. Had one good game, but you just don't know what you're getting. Anyways, Colt McCoy also out. Looked like he was coming back. Concussion symptoms creeped up again late in the week. It's concerning for him. But as of right now, it's not Trace McSorley. It's going to be David Blau, if I'm saying that right. Yeah. Didn't know he was in Arizona. I didn't either. He was for the Lions. If you remember last year, he did make some spot starts. Actually put up some decent numbers, but that game is going to be really hard to trust on the Arizona side for multiple reasons. But they got David Blau now at quarterback, not Colt McCoy, because they got some other injuries I'll get to, like DeAndre Hopkins not playing. And this was a surprise because wasn't banged up last week, but knee injury. Who knows? I mean, look, with these teams that are eliminated from the playoffs and got nothing to play for, and you never know. But whatever the case, Hopkins is not playing. All right. And then Derek Carr, let's keep going. There's a lot of quarterbacks that are out. Derek Carr not playing. And no, it's not injury related in any way. It is interception related and not being able to win a game related. So Derek Carr getting the seat for the last 2 weeks. That means you got Jared Stidham, of course, a former Patriots quarterback under former Patriots coordinator Josh McDaniels. So Jared Stidham will be throwing to Devontae Adams. That's fun for everyone who had Devontae Adams and was winning all season long to the last 3 weeks. And then Taylor Heineke also taking a seat. We saw this coming. Carson Wentz is back at quarterback. We'll see what that means for Washington's receivers. And then going on to receivers, Debo is not playing. I know he got in some practice, some speculation he might return. There's really no reason for him to return this week because San Francisco is good with their seeding and they're playing the Raiders. So I don't think they really feel like they need Debo. So no Debo. And then Marquise Goodwin, I know, let us all down. Look, us especially, because we thought he might have a big game. Now we see why he didn't have a big game. He's hurt, and he's not only out this week, he's on IR. So those injuries were worse than we thought. Wish we would have known that last week. But anyways, Marquise Goodwin is out. But Tyler Lockett, who is questionable, is expected to play. So listed as questionable, but it sounds like he's in. So if you have Tyler Lockett, you can be thankful he is playing. But before we get to the other questionables, also let you know Antonio Gibson out. That means smash spot for Brian Robinson just got even smashier. And then Greg Dulcich, tight end for Denver. He is also out and out for the season as well on IR. Promising young player, no more. Questionable side, but again, most of these guys I think will play with, well, one exception. Okay, so Trevor Lawrence, questionable. He's probably going. Kenneth Walker, they said he is expected to play, but he's listed as questionable, but you should be good with Kenneth Walker. I would play him. Ramondre Stevenson, not really sure there. I think he'll go. He's been banged up the last couple of weeks, and he's played. And, of course, a couple of weeks ago, he had a monster game despite playing with a questionable tag, and then last week he didn't. So who knows there. But it's interesting that Damian Harris, who is forever questionable, is not this week. He's actually in. So now a lot of people worried. Maybe Ramondre sits and Damian Harris is a starter. I don't know. I still feel like if Ramondre plays, you kind of have to play him, but this one's going to be tricky. But anyways, he's questionable. I already mentioned Tyler Lockett. going to play. Jerry Judy, been questionable all week, which is worrisome because he's in such a great spot. Remember what he did against the Chiefs last time, 3 touchdowns. Well, he is expected to play also, so no worries there. Chris Olave, maybe the wrong side of questionable. Remember, he did not play last week. Saints, a team that really got nothing to play for. Seems like they're kind of not too sad about losing these days. But anyways, Olave is questionable. I don't think I would trust it with him. And then the one I really don't know and wish I did know, of course, you guys are going to wonder about, is Christian Watson. Christian Watson is questionable. Look, last week he played and then got pulled midway through the game with an injury. I know that's the concern is what if he does play but doesn't finish the game? It's such a great matchup. It's the Vikings, the worst defense against wide receivers, and you know what Watson can do. I feel like again, if he is on, game time, right before game time, if he's active and he's playing, it's so hard to sit him. But I get playing it safe if you have different, guys that you feel better about. So it really is going to depend. I'm sure we'll get a lot of Christian Watson questions today. And then on the tight end side, Tyler Higbee, just when we thought he was going to be a great pickup and streamer, he's questionable. I feel like he's probably playing, but again, you never know here. So Higbee is questionable. Keep that in mind. And Dawson Knox, also questionable. Guys you don't have to worry about, well, at tight end, Hayden Hurst. Not that you were worried, but he is playing in that game. Austin Eckler and Aaron Jones were on the injury report, but they're fine, no worries. And then Alvin Kamara, a guy that, just has been massively disappointing. And this is a terrible matchup for him against Philadelphia. And what's weird is that he missed time, not just with an injury. He had, I guess, a thigh thing, but also personal, some sort of issue. Didn't practice, I don't think, all week, but they say he's playing. But you know what? I don't have Kamara anywhere in my leagues, and I'm not playing him even if I do. So take that for what it's worth. All right, guys. So let's get to it. We're going to be here a couple hours and answer as many of your questions as I can. So let's get to the first one. This is a very profound comment. First comment, so I feel like I should put it up. Hello, Bus. How are you? Bus and I were chatting last night in Discord at like 3 a.m., I think it was. Now, I don't know if I can help with this. Okay, so you might have heard Terrell Owens on the comeback trail. He's, I think almost going to have his 50th birthday pretty soon. You know what? At this point in the season, if you have that much fab left, first of all, you probably didn't spend it enough wisely earlier in the season, but also I would just hold him for now. I just hold him, we'll see what happens with Terrell Owens next week. Look, if T.Y. Hilton can do it, why not Terrell Owens? All right, but what is up, Ralphie, for Super Chat? Happy New Year to you. All right. Hard decision, Barkley, Walker. That's good. All right, need a flex. You got McKinnon, Dotson, Najee, and Sanders. Well, here's the thing. I'm actually gonna just scratch Najee off this list, which Najee had been really solid lately, and it's not anything with him personally. It's just I hate the matchup. Again, a road game against Baltimore, not a good spot. The upside is just a little bit limited for him. So I think I would prefer McKinnon over Najee. Again, assuming I don't remember. I know Ralphie, you're always with us and in the Discord, but I don't remember this is PPR. I'm assuming it's PPR. I'm going to say no to Najee. Sanders is just what are you going to get? Which Sanders are you going to get this week? And look, maybe this is a great spot for him. I feel like the last couple of weeks, I thought it was a really good spot for Sanders, and he's just been okay. He hasn't had one of those big games lately. And I really don't feel like with Gardner Minshew there, it necessarily helps Sanders' cause. The passing game was still really good with Minshew. I mean, obviously, he threw for 355 yards, but the running game just hasn't been the same, that keeping, things honest with Jalen Hurts and his rushing ability. I think I'd prefer McKinnon because of his upside, in terms of catching a bunch of passes, scoring against Denver. The question is Dotson. Look, and I just posted this in the Discord. You know that all season, it's not just he's been on a heater in the last 3 games. He scored a touchdown in each, but Field Yates threw out a stat that he's the only receiver, I think, this season to have 3 straight games with a touchdown and over, I think it was 70 yards, something like that. I don't remember what it was. Maybe I'm shortchanging him, but he's a guy who has been hot. But what do you get now with Carson Wentz in there? Well, if you remember the first 2 weeks of the season when Carson Wentz was the starting quarterback, John Dotson was doing better than Terry McLaurin. He was scoring. So I think we can probably take that worry off because you also know Heineke, he's been targeting Dotson a lot lately. He's the guy who really connects with McLaurin. The guy who probably gets hurt by Wentz is McLaurin. So it's between Dotson and McKinnon here. McKinnon, I think, is kind of the floor play. Um, I think Dotson is a little riskier. I'm just going to say that a little riskier. I really feel like this game against Cleveland going to be running it. They're going to be able to run it. They're going to be able to run it. So if it were my team, probably since you're so set already with those first two running backs, if it was a full PPR league, I always chase upside, right? I always chase upside. I would go with Dotson. I would just say this. I would go Dotson. You want to play a little safer, I get going McKinnon, but if it were my team, I can't ignore a guy when he's that hot. I know McKinnon was that hot a couple of weeks ago, but I feel like in this matchup, I think I might lean Dotson. All right. And Ralphie with a follow-up. This is a good question. Just asking, what are we going to do in the offseason when fantasy playoffs are over? The same thing. We're going to keep going. We're not exactly the same. There's no more start sit in weekly rankings. It's draft. We're starting draft rankings. I'm not kidding. We're going to start talking about next year's sleepers, busts, targets, guys that we think are going to go off next season. Now, obviously, a lot will change between now and then because you're going to have free agency, then you're going to have the NFL draft, but we'll change with it. Everything changes every week in the NFL here. So, nothing new. We want to get you guys as much advice as possible. And look, it's fun to start planning ahead. So, fantasy playoffs are over. Well, look, also, we're still going next week because we know a lot of you will still be playing in week 18. So we'll do that as well. We're not going to stop after this week. All right, let's talk about homie Pittman or Dortch. Okay, so this is interesting, and I know Dortch is a guy that we got to be curious about because look, I know he had a huge game the other day. I went, if you guys were on Tuesday night, or if you see the live show from Tuesday, I did my rant. I'm not going to do it again about Greg Dortch. If he's healthy, yes, he can get a ton of targets, especially with a backup quarterback. But here's the thing now. DeAndre Hopkins not even playing. I mean, we haven't seen also, it kind of easy to forget, but remember Zach Ertz was one of the best tight ends this year, and he's been out half the season. Trey McBride, the rookie, has not really stepped up in any way as a receiver to fill that void. So what I'm saying, there's a lot of targets that are vacated here by Hopkins because Rondell Moore, also an IR. I mean, it's kind of Hollywood and Dortch, and that's it. So I think you've got to like Dortch this week. Pittman, how can you play Pittman with Nick Foles still in there? How can you trust any Colt this week? I'm going Dortch because I feel like the target share is going to be there. So I'm not going to say the must start, but a good start. All right. So Edgar wants to know, thinking Higgins was a must start? Well, he is. If DK or Garrett Wilson was better, you have to start Higgins. You have to start Higgins. DK not in a great spot this week. Again, the Jets, that's a very tough matchup. Defensively, he's going to get some sauce. So I feel like you definitely can't start DK over those guys. Garrett Wilson is always interesting with any quarterback not named Zach Wilson. I can't see T. Higgins, though. I mean, I don't know who else you got. You can't fit Garrett Wilson into your flex spot or anything like that. But yeah, I think you have to start Higgins. This game is supposed to be a big shootout, right? Cincinnati and Buffalo, I think you've got to go with Higgins. There's no way you can keep him on your bench. All right, what's up, Brian? Brian, I think, is officially now the gift master in our Discord. Had some good ones last night. Okay, why does everyone seem to like Algier over Akers? Okay, standard. I mean, I don't think that really changes things too much. Neither of these guys are really pass catchers. Okay, they both have great matchups. True. Akers gets better snap share. All right, well, here's the thing. Yes, Akers probably has a slight edge in terms of that snap share, but here's the what you have to look at is not just who's on the field more, who's getting those touches. And I know last week, okay, yeah, Akers. Algier has less competition than before. Cordell Patterson is like hardly involved these days. He gets like 7-8 carries. Kyron Williams on the Rams gets like no carries. There's nobody else on the Rams really competing with Akers, which is what you want. I like these guys almost the same this week. Why do I like Algier more? Because here's the thing, I trust Atlanta's run offense more. I know you can say, well, the Rams just put up 51 points and Akers just had a monster game. But Atlanta has clearly the superior offensive line. Okay. Atlanta is going to be at home against a team now that is not just eliminated, but also now resting guys like DeAndre Hopkins. They got a fourth string quarterback in there. Atlanta's going to be able to do their thing pretty much on offense. It's a great matchup for the Falcons. Now, on paper, it's a great matchup for the Rams too, because the Chargers have been a bottom five rush offense. Bottom five rush defense. The Chargers have been all season long. So yeah, Akers is in a smash spot. They're both in great spots. You have to like them both. I give the slight edge to Algier because to me, honestly, it's a kind of a trust issue with the way this rushing offense is generated. Atlanta's going to run the ball as much as possible, right? They're going to run the ball. And in this matchup against Arizona, they're going to be able to run the ball. I feel like the game script will be more favorable. There's some thought like Rams Chargers. Look, the Chargers already have a playoff spot. They don't really need to do anything in this game, but they're not going to just roll over. This is also a team that's not resting a bunch of starters. And look, in fact, they might get Joey Bosa back. I mean, that would be a pretty big help for that defense. And maybe that's why they've been partly so bad. But I like Akers a lot. I just like Algier a little bit better. That's, I guess, that's my answer here. And look, pass catching doesn't make a difference. Neither guy really does much as a receiver. I just think I like Algier a little bit better. All right, and we got one from Moises from Mexico. Thank you so much, Moises. We appreciate that. And let's go back here. Speaking of the Chargers, Justin Herbert or Brock Purdy? All right. Now, I'm tempted by Brock Purdy. I'm not going to lie. There's one league. It's Superflex, right? Don't get me wrong. Superflex, not single quarterback. I'm rolling with Brock Purdy over some other guys that are streaming options. I get that it's tempting. And I don't think it's a bad idea, honestly, but I'm still playing Herbert because what I just said, the Chargers aren't a team like Tennessee obviously did on Thursday, where they're just kind of saying, like, whatever, this game doesn't matter to us. Even though the Chargers could just say, like, well, whatever, let's just stay healthy for the playoffs. Like, we're not, going to be getting a home field advantage and a bye. Like, it doesn't matter. We're just going to be in the wild card. Some teams actually don't rest their players and don't want to slow down before the playoffs. You see the Jaguars. What do they really need to do to beat Houston? And even so, this game doesn't really matter to them. Kind of like with Tennessee, like next week is what matters. Doug Peterson was like, look, every game counts. I want to win. That's kind of how it should be, right? That's probably how it should be. I don't think the Chargers were just going to lay down in this game. This is a hometown rivalry sort of thing. And SoFi, they're going to want to beat the Rams. They're going to at least put up a fight. The Rams' pass defense has not been great. They haven't been. Remember, Aaron Donald's not there. They've been susceptible other than, Jalen Ramsey's still around, but the rest of their secondary has been kind of weak this year. So I'm still going Herbert. I think he'll be fine. I know he's not been great, but Purdy, I have to keep saying this, a better real life quarterback than fantasy quarterback. He doesn't put up rushing numbers, right? He's not a guy who's sneaking in the end zone himself. He's not a guy who's going to get you 50 yards on the ground. He's not doing that at all. In fact, Herbert's a better running quarterback than Purdy is. I think Purdy is fine, but I'm not putting him over Herbert. So I'd keep Herbert in there. I don't expect huge games from either one, if that helps you. I don't know if that's what you want to hear, but I think I'm keeping Herbert in there. All right. And just an effort to torture myself. Let's do this. This is a regular chat, but I'm gonna I'm gonna answer this. Because we do have Christian Watson there on the thumb. I know Christian Watson is the big question mark here. Christian Watson, Garrett Wilson, or DJ Chark. I like all three of these guys a lot this week, assuming they all play. And of course, the only one that we're worried about is Watson. I've been selling Chark. Look, I've been telling you, DJ Chark, you may not realize this, out of the past 4 games, he's only had one down game. And by down, I mean, he's been over, I think it was 85 yards in 3 of the last 4 games. The only one he didn't was against the Jets, okay, for obvious reasons. DJ Chark is in such a good spot this week, of course, at home, going against the Bears. That said, I'm starting Garrett Wilson over DJ Chark because Garrett Wilson is a stud whenever he has any quarterback not named Zach Wilson. But I still feel like if Christian Watson plays, I have to put him in my lineup. If he's good to go, I know there's risk with him getting hurt, but man, I would hate to have that kind of potential on my bench. So if it's me, again, unless you really want to just play it safe, go Garrett Wilson. That's the safe pick. Okay. If you want that upside, you go Christian Watson. And then kind of talked about this earlier. OBI engineering, Greg Dortch worth a start. He is. He definitely is. Look, especially if you had DeAndre Hopkins, you were expecting him to go off this week because it was Atlanta, just go with Dortch and don't worry about it. Now, the answer to that question, of course, is it depends who else your other options are. But if you're in a full PPR league, Dortch is a really strong flex play. Now, if you're in a standard league, which I know someone just said standard or even half PPR, that does diminish his value quite a bit because Dortch is not a big play guy. You're not going to see him, go off for this 50-yard scamper like Christian Watson, right? Dortch needs the volume. He has to get those targets. He will get those targets this game because like they got no one else to throw to but Hollywood. Like that's it. And also, it's Atlanta. It's such a good spot. So if you're in a standard league, I would say you could probably do better than Dortch. I would like a guy like Chark better, but in full PPR, Dortch is a strong start. And then I saw another one. I think this is worth putting up here. Suzanne Burkholder, first season playing fantasy in the championship. Love to hear that. We have a lot of viewers who've been saying just started. And look, if you're a first time player just starting with fantasy football, I mean, look, it doesn't happen every year. And, they always say in the pros, like the NFL, they don't take it for granted. You're here in the big game. You don't always get back there. It's true. There's so much luck, a lot that goes into fantasy football. It's not like a big secret here saying that we get lucky more than we're good a lot of times. But if you can outsmart your opponents, if you can make good trades, smart waiver wire pickups, and be active, the main thing is you're here, you're watching, you're learning, and you're active up until the end. That's going to make you successful more often than not. All right. So, anyways, need one for the flex and a full PPR. You got Deontay Johnson, Hollywood Brown, Pittman. I'm guessing Hodgins for the Giants or Dobbs. Okay, so you got some interesting options here. I'm going to immediately say no to Pittman. As I said before, Pittman is depending on Nick Foles. He's depending on the Colts actually doing something I can't because you have better options here. Deontay Johnson, you have much better upside with those other players because again, let's remind ourselves, Deontay Johnson does not score touchdowns, and that is literally true. He does not score touchdowns this year, and I don't feel a big scoring game there. Pittsburgh, Baltimore. I think the last game it was like 17-14. It's probably going to be about the same. Hollywood is definitely more interesting because D Hop is out, but also it's the Falcons, one of the worst against wide receivers. And I just talked about how that game, look, Falcons are probably going to have their way on the ground. And then David Blau is going to have to do what he can through the air. Hodgins is okay, but I don't like him better than those guys. Dobbs is the one that's really interesting. If Watson is out, and I know I mentioned this if you guys watched the Boom video or the Playoff Hero video, I don't remember which one of those. I think it was that one. I mentioned Dobbs. If Watson is out, you've got to love Dobbs because it's the Vikings who are actually now worse than the Falcons in terms of giving up points to wide receivers. The Vikings, you know what they do. They score a lot, they give up a lot, especially through the air. I mean, we just saw these Giants receivers, guys that a lot of you had not heard of, like Darius Slayton, Isaiah Hodgins, and Richie James, all have big games at the same time. They all went for at least 79 yards. I think Richie James was like 120 or something crazy because it was the Vikings. Okay. If Watson is out, I think I have to play Dobbs because also, even with Watson playing at least half the game last week, Dobbs got 5 or 6 targets. He's going to be the number one guy. If Watson is out, I have to go with Dobbs. If Watson plays, it's closer, but I think I would probably go Hollywood because he's going to get a ton of targets also. So Dobbs would be in my choice right now. And if you hear Watson is good and they're not too worried about limitations or anything like that, um, then you can switch to Hollywood. Like Dobbs might be a good start, even if Watson does play. Um, but that's how I'm feeling right now. All right. And then Cornelius. What's up, Cornelius? Welcome back. RB to yeah, Deontay Foreman or Rashad White. Okay, let's do that one first. Actually, just mentioned this to somebody in the Discord. Actually, I think it was the bus, right? Bus, you can tell me if that's right. I think it was you. You're asking about your lineup. And I said I would put Deontay Foreman in there over Pacheco. Over Rashad White, yes, I'm doing Deontay Foreman because here's the thing. We're seeing a lot more Leonard Fournette lately, especially last week. You saw a monster game. It's not playoffs, but it's almost playoff Lenny. And it's like we desperately need to win to get to the playoffs. This is still a team led by Tom Brady, and this is a veteran team. Rashad White has been good, but if Lenny's still good to go, which apparently he is, he's fighting through his injury, doing whatever he needs to do. I think it looks more as opposed to a couple of weeks ago when it was pretty much 50-50, right? A couple of consecutive weeks, it was 50-50, right? Rashad White had the backfield to himself that one week when Lenny didn't play, and then it was a clear split. But now we've seen it shift where it's a 1A, 1B, and Fournette's the 1A. So I got to go Foreman because even though, well, Foreman and Hubbard is kind of a 1A, 1B, I think Foreman's still technically the 1A. He's the guy I feel better about touchdown upside. He's the bigger back. He's going to get the goal line work. He's getting the volume, and he's been actually really good this year. Other than a couple of down games, he's mostly been good. I feel better about Foreman. I know in PPR league it might be tempted to go White, but I still like Foreman better. At the flex, okay, you got Judy, Chark, or Boyd. I can definitely say no to Boyd. I like both these guys. If Judy's good to go, which they're saying he is in, he's been questionable, but they're saying he's going to play. I can't sit Judy. And I have not been big on Judy. And I know for a couple of weeks I was saying no Broncos, no Broncos. But this is the Chiefs. You know what they did last time. I'm not saying he's going 3 touchdowns this time, but you have to acknowledge there's definitely some scoring upside. There's definitely potential for a big game. And it helps that Greg Dulcich now is out of the picture. So, with all that said, Judy is in line potentially for a big game. I really like Chark, but I'm going to go with the guy who's kind of the number one. I mean, I don't know if you consider him or Sutton. Lately, it's been Judy. I guess technically the number one receiver on his team. And you have to wonder if the Broncos now, with a new coach, I mean, who knows what that means? Maybe it doesn't mean anything. It's still the same personnel. But at this point, what do they have to lose? I mean, they're going to probably go all out, try to beat the Chiefs, try to, replicate what they did on offense last time. I'm going with Judy. All right. And then Brian, just a shout out. Thanks for, hey, thank you. And I mean this. Thank you for being with us all year, for being active, being in the Discord. Of course, a lot of you who are in the Patreon, we appreciate you probably just as much, if not more, than you appreciate what we've done. So, all right. Chris, not our Chris, is a different Chris. All right. So Chris in half PPR needs to bench one. Okay. So you got Ramondre, Devontae, and Metcalf. Now, this is interesting. You're worried. I get it. And I talked about this earlier. Look, normally, if it was anytime before week 16, like it would be you have to start Ramondre. Um, I don't think you have to start Ramondre because you said it. He's questionable, which hadn't meant anything until last week when it did mean something because, as our guy Keith pointed out and bet me, and I lost the bet, he said he didn't feel a very good Ramondre game coming. He had some I don't know what it is. He's up there in New England. I think he's a Pats fan. He had some inside scoop or something. Like he knew. I guess he knew. So I got played. But he knew Ramondre was not going to get a lot of work and not have a big game. And he did nothing last week. Obviously disappointed us. Obviously, he's not right. Like maybe he gave it all he had 2 weeks ago in that monster game against the Raiders, but you got to be worried about Andre and Damian Harris is back. So, and look, the Dolphins, as bad as they've been struggling the last few weeks, just winning, their run defense has been better, has tightened up. It's not a great spot. So I think you have to sit Ramondre this week. And look, Devontae Smith is so hard. Like you have to start Devontae Smith. I don't love DK this week going against the Jets, but I think I'd keep him in there over Ramondre because definitely worried about Mondre. So I get what you're saying. I agree with what you're saying. I would sit Ramondre this week. And then we have a very familiar name, Young Money was up. I want to flex. I'm in a dynasty championship with Brees Hall and really coming back. That's pretty good. Look, that's the thing with dynasty. You have to love dynasty because you can say, "Oh, there's always next year." Well, there is always next year. You can actually build for next year, and even if you have a bad record, you can still build a good team for next year. And wow, it was okay. Dotson or Judy. I think you have to start Judy. Obviously, they're both good options. It's not so much that I'm worried about Dotson because of Wentz. Talked about that already. Wentz, I think, will be fine with him. You've got to love the way Dotson has been rolling, but Judy just definitely has the upside here. Um, I definitely feel better about him. So it's really what it is. Just it's hard to bench Judy this week if he's good to go. All right, and then let me see where'd that go. Big Lenny, speaking of dynasty and building for next year, it's always next year with Big Lenny, isn't it? Right? I think he's got the youngest average team in the league by far. Mangano's out celebrating. I'm not talking about New Year's Eve. He's already celebrating his fantasy championships in the endgame leagues. So he started the party early. No, just kidding, just kidding. Family stuff. He's a family man. All right, so let's go with this one. I think we feel like we have to start with another Watson question. Half PPR. If Watson is out, Dobbs over Dobbins. Yes. Look, Dobbins is fine. Like, he's not terrible all of a sudden. Remember, he was going off, and then he had that smash spot against Atlanta. He did not smash. The thing is now, for whatever reason, you never know what Harbaugh's going to do, but now it seems like it's a timeshare, him and Gus. I don't like the matchup at all. Pittsburgh has been really good. If you guys watch the defense video, it just came out. Defensive streamers. I'm second week in a row mentioning Pittsburgh. That Pittsburgh defense, I don't think everyone even realizes how good it's been. I didn't really realize until I looked into it. Pittsburgh defense has been rolling ever since they got Watt back. Pittsburgh Steelers have been winning. They've been actually just good as a team, not because they're putting up points, but because of their defense. So I'm not feeling a very good game from Dobbins. And yeah, if Watson is out, Dobbs is a great start. So thank you for the question, Magic Carp, which is also a very entertaining game on mobile. All right, Moises with another one because you asked Purdy or Herbert. Got that one. It is Herbert. I'm going Herbert. I don't feel like he's going to have a big letdown game. Purdy, his ceiling is only so high. It's only so high. Debo's not playing. It's not like he's off to put up a big game. And look, 49ers not going to really need to pass much against the Raiders. I doubt. With Jared Stidham on the other side, I think it'll be a modest output. Purdy is fine. I feel he's a really solid, high-end streamer or QB2. Herbert, I know he's been disappointing relative to expectations, but he's not a streamer. Like, he's still a solid QB on. You don't have to worry about him. So I'm going Herbert. All right, then we got two receivers and one flex. Brown, if that's A.J. Brown, you're starting A.J. Brown. Watson is very much in question. Chark and Dotson. Okay, well, here's the thing. If Watson plays, you have to like Chark and Dotson, but if Watson plays, I think I have to play him, right? Even as much as I like those other two guys. Like, you have to start Brown. I think if Watson plays, you go Watson, and then I'm going Chark. I'm giving the slight edge to Chark. And again, not that I'm in any way worried about Dotson. I'm not. I just feel a little better about Chark. It's such a good spot for him, and he's been really good. I know Dotson has been great these last 3 weeks. Again, say it again. Chark has been really good 3 of the past 4 weeks. Just against the Jets, he wasn't. I know he's not getting in the end zone as much as Dotson, but he could definitely find the end zone this week against the Bears. So I like Chark just a little bit better. But if Watson plays, you have to play him. If Watson doesn't, or you're worried about being on a snap count or something, you go with Chark and Dotson and you're fine. You're not really going to be worried about it. And then Patrick, that's an interesting question. Patrick Hyde, would you sit him because it might be a nagging injury, still questionable? I'm not worried about it. If they said, because he's listed questionable, but again, so are guys like Lockett and Kenny Walker and some of those guys I mentioned earlier. But they've said, the coaches come out and said they're going to play. Look, if they're going to play, then I think they just keep the questionable tag on there because if something happens pregame, if there's a setback, and look, it could happen, but if I'm in the championship and I got him a guy like that in my lineup, I'm checking tomorrow morning before the game starts, and I'm making sure he's in. And this is why, by the way, I know you see it scrolling down there, the Patreon. So if you're a patron and you're with us on our Zoom call tomorrow morning, do this 2 hours before kickoff, we'll tell you, hey, by the way, this guy's in, this guy's out, uh, in those last minute decisions. I mean, we do that, right? I'm checking my lineups, all my lineups. I'm checking them twice before kickoff every Sunday morning. So if you got a guy like Judy, I get you might be nervous, but if they say he's playing, I'm putting him in. I'm making sure there's no pregame setback, which usually doesn't happen if it's not a serious injury. And look, Judy hasn't been missing games, right? So I'm not that worried, in other words. All right, we got another Eric Magana, not Mangano, but close. Love the content. In two championship games this week. Nice. All right. So would you sit Metcalf for London? Oh man. Okay. That is a tough question. That is a really tough one. Okay, so you can't feel great about Metcalf against the Jets. I mean, you can't feel great about any wide receiver against the Jets. So I get that. And here's the thing. Lockett is coming back. So that's another reason why you almost, even though you just talked about with Judy, you almost can say, well, I'm more worried about Lockett because he's been questionable. Lockett's the guy who's in the slot. He's not going to get Sauce Gardner. DK is going to get the sauce treatment. So yeah, I'm worried about DK. Am I higher on London? I think I might be. And not because it's a great spot for London, but it is a pretty good spot. Talking about the Falcons, the Cardinals aren't terrible against wide receivers, but they're not great either. It's kind of mediocre. They've been a lot worse lately, just in general. But Jets allow the second fewest points to wide receivers on the season, fantasy points. I'm talking about the Broncos, are the only team that's better. Um, it's going to be tough to trust DK Metcalf. So honestly, I want the floor, at least some semblance of a floor. If I'm in a championship, yeah, I would go London. I would. And I'm not too worried about London because, look, here's the thing. The last couple of weeks, ever since they went to the youth movement with Ritter, or in other words, took Mariota away, London's been getting a ton of targets. I would say the only issue here is London isn't scoring touchdowns that often, but is DK really going to score against the Jets? Jets have given up 10 touchdowns to wide receivers all season long. So in this case, yeah, I'm going London. All right, what is up? Chocolate Rain 74. For all the marbles, all right. That's the only way to do it. Flex position. You got Aaron Jones, you got Najee, you got Hollywood, you got Zay Jones. All right. So well, think about this. You only need one of these guys. Hmm. You're driving me to drink. Okay, so I'm going to say no to Najee. Again, I'm assuming this is PPR, at least half. I don't feel great about Najee. I mean, he's startable if you need, but I'll say no to Najee on this group. Zay Jones could have a nice game. It's Houston, you know this, but I will say I don't feel as good about him as Hollywood because, I mean, Zay Jones has kind of been a boom bust guy, right? He kind of like Christian Kirk, a monster game, a nothing game. He was questionable earlier in the weekend. He's going to play. I'm not worried about that. You just wonder. I think I'd feel more comfortable with Hollywood now that I know Hopkins is out, and I actually kind of feel better now that it's not Trace McSorley at quarterback. Honestly, so it's between Aaron Jones and Hollywood for me. Aaron Jones should be the answer. It's how can we trust a guy who's barely touched the ball the last couple of weeks? And AJ Dillon has been better. That's the thing. The matchup says you should start Aaron Jones. Um, Fantasy outlook should be better for Aaron Jones. Is Aaron Jones going to get enough touches? That's the question. If it were me, I think I would really want to know more about how much Aaron Jones is going to be involved, and I don't know that we're going to get that answer. He was removed from the injury report, so I think that's a good sign. It's do you feel a big game? Like I think if you feel like you need the chance for a big game, I think I would go Aaron Jones. If you want to take the guy who probably has the best floor here, I think it's Hollywood. So if it were my team, I'm probably putting Hollywood in there just because, man, I feel like it really should be Aaron Jones, but I said that the last couple of weeks. Aaron Jones is just, he's got to be hurt still. He's got to be, even though he's not on the injury report now. It's like a DeAndre Swift thing. Oh, he's not on the injury report. They give him the ball 6 times. The Packers have to win this game. I mean, they have to win to try to make the playoffs. It's at home. It is against Minnesota. It really should be Aaron Jones. It's just you got to know you're taking that risk on of getting limited usage. So rounds of floor play, Jones is the guy with the upside. So I'm going to kind of hedge my bet and answer that way. Luis Cabrera, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. We got Dylan, Pacheco, Dobbins, and Swift. Pick two. Don't like Dobbins this week. I talked about that. He's a guy that does not catch passes. Bad matchup. Can't trust Dobbins. Well, I just talked about the whole Aaron Jones thing. You know what? It's hard to not feel as good, if not better, about Dylan. So I might say yes to Dylan. I don't feel great about Pacheco. You know what? Take a chance on Swift. He's basically what I just said with Aaron Jones. You don't know how much he's going to touch the ball, but it's at home. It's the Bears. He maybe doesn't need a ton of touches here. Look, Justin Jackson is questionable, which is really pathetic that that even matters, but it does because for some reason Justin Jackson gets more carries than DeAndre Swift some games. I'm going to go Swift and take the chance that he catches and passes, that he scores a touchdown, makes a big play, and I'll go Dylan. I just don't feel good things. Pacheco and Dobbins, neither one of those guys catch passes. I don't feel like great touchdown upside from them in these matchups. So I'll go Dylan and Swift. And yeah, actually, this is a good point. Cagenomics, maybe you have some inside scoop here. Being a Saints fan, I'm assuming. Uh, I don't know what's up with Kamara. I mean, there was something I didn't actually get to. I don't know if he ever did divulge. I saw the last thing I saw that because he was out. He was out of practice. They said it was like a thigh thing, but also personal. Like he was out for personal reasons, and then they kind of added some fake injury thing to it. Um, and then they said that, oh, well, the coach didn't say anything. They'll let him explain himself. And I never followed up to see if he actually did because it's like, oh, yeah, we never heard from him. I don't know what's up with Kamara. I don't care. I'm not playing him. And it's not even just about whatever he's been doing this week that's strange. He hasn't been a stud for fantasy. He's not catching passes, which is a clear sign that I don't understand why Dennis Allen is coming back as coach next year. But anyways, he's not carrying teams to fantasy championships. And then they play the Eagles this week. I don't know what's going on there. I don't want any part of it. I'm not playing Kamara. And then do another one before we get to the next super chat. Christian Molek, Akers or Walker? You got to start Walker. He's playing. I know he's questionable, but he's in. He's going to play. I know Jets are a really good pass defense. They're okay against the run. I think they're marginal, like close to top 10, but they're not a shutdown run defense. You feel like Walker's going to get the bulk of the touches here. He doesn't need to be force fed the ball. You know what he can do, one cut and go. You got to like Walker. So look, maybe Akers could outscore him. I wouldn't be shocked if that happens, but for me, I have to keep Walker in my lineup. And then we got another first time player here, Will Blake. Appreciate, yeah, of course. First time playing fantasy, made it for the third place game. All right, well, that's all right. That look, some leagues you get money still, you get your money back, something for third place. You want to play still, you want to win all the way to the end. Even some of you, if you're playing in the toilet bowl or the consolation game or whatever, you still want to win. Next year, we'll get you to that championship. Don't worry. All right, so need to start two receivers. You got Adams, Waddle, Garrett Wilson, or Juju. All right, so here's the thing. All season long, you want to say like Adams and Waddle, that's it, end of story, no question. But then you look at Devontae Adams, who for 3 weeks in a row has done nothing, and now gets Jared Stidham. Which, look, I promise you, as bad as Derek Carr has been, that's not an upgrade. It's not. And Derek Carr, if anything else, he's been supporting Devontae Adams as a top 10 receiver all season long. Check the stats. Devontae Adams has been a stud. What happens this week against the Niners? We will find out. I don't think Adams is unstartable. Same thing with Waddle. Teddy B is a decent quarterback. Y'all forget that back when Tua was out those couple of games earlier in the season, Teddy B was also banged up one of those or two of those games. We had Skylar Thompson, a rookie, who was playing quarterback. That's part of the reason why Waddle wasn't great. But anyways, Adams and Waddle are still startable, but I think I would go with Garrett Wilson as one of my guys. I know Juju had a big game against Denver last time they played. I don't feel like I can start Juju over those guys. So really, it's Garrett Wilson for me, and then it's between Waddle and Adams. I think I still have Adams ahead of Waddle. I do. So I'll go Adams and I'll go Wilson. And then two running backs, you got Stevenson, Etienne, Sanders, McKinnon, Algier. Look, you have some good choices here. I can sit Stevenson pretty safely. I'm definitely starting Etienne. And then I like Algier. And look, all of these guys are good choices. Sanders, riskier. I don't think you need to go with Sanders here with these choices. McKinnon, I'll go Algier and I'll go Etienne. All right. Let's go to the next super chat. Dylan Kearns. What's up, Dylan? Half point pick three. Zay, Dobbs, Brandon Cooks, Pacheco, JK, or Rashad White. All right. So based on what I've already been saying, I'm going to say no to JK. I really don't feel like Pacheco gives you enough upside here. I probably am. I'm even though it's half PPR, I'm probably going with those first three guys. I'm going with the receivers because again, Rashad White has now become the 1B. And in half PPR, a guy like him, that actually hurts him, even though he's a running back, because a lot of his value comes from receptions. I'm going to go Zay. I feel pretty good about him. I'm going to go Dobbs. Even if Watson does play, I still feel like Dobbs could have a big game. And, it's hard to love Brandon Cooks, but look what Brandon Cooks did last week. He's the guy there. I'm going to go with those first three guys at receiver. All right, then we got Andrew Rowland. We need one. McKinnon, Pittman, Evans, or Knight. Wow. All right. This one's going to test me. I'm going to say no to Pittman because I've already said no to Pittman a lot. I will tell you right now, there's one league where I'm in the championship game. I got Mike Evans on my bench. I can't advocate starting Mike Evans this week. Maybe. I shocked myself by finding the stat out last week. Let me confirm if it's what I remember. Mike Evans, see if y'all know the last time Mike Evans actually scored a touchdown. When was the last time Mike Evans actually scored a touchdown in a game? Week 4. He hasn't scored since week 4. That's the thing with Evans. You can say, well, he's always got touchdown upside. Oh, well, not anymore. Mike Evans is just not scoring. I don't know. How can a combination that has been so good the last 2 years now all of a sudden just evaporate? Or like Brady, like anytime Evans is in the area, he just, sails it over his head. It's weird. But anyways, I can't start Evans. I can't start Pittman. McKinnon or Knight, I go McKinnon. I know Knight technically has a much better matchup. If you look at it, Seattle's run defense has been one of the worst in the league this whole season, but over the past month, they've been the worst. But Bam Knight versus McKinnon. Knight's not really catching passes. McKinnon is. McKinnon, I feel like, has more touchdown upside. I'm giving the edge to McKinnon, assuming it's PPR. If this is standard, Andrew, if it's non PPR, I might go Knight. But if it's full PPR, I'm definitely going McKinnon. All right. And then quick shout out to our guy who's always in the Discord. Also, Rye Raps, what is up? Hollywood Lazard. I'm going Lazard. I'm going Hollywood. So Lazard is tempting. I know I keep talking about Minnesota's defense. If Watson is out, Lazard is tempting, but I think he's still going to be behind Dobbs. I think I'm going to go Hollywood in this case. And then I can't believe this is a question, but I do believe it's a question because, look, if you are in the Patreon and you get our weekly rankings, the rankings I update, which, by the way, I'm going to update again right after this show is over. I got Josh Jacobs way down this week, and you have to. You have to because backup quarterback, I know we say, well, it's not that big a difference. Derek Carr sucks. Okay, come on. Jared Stidham is not going to be better for this offense. And it's the number one run defense in the NFL. It's the Niners. Josh Jacobs, he's been running like a beast all season long because he wants that contract next year. You've got to wonder at this point, like maybe I'm reading too much into things, but you've got to wonder now at this point if he's like, okay, this season's over. Like clearly, Raiders not making the playoffs. They're already giving up on their quarterback and all this. Maybe he's thinking, hey, this last game or two, maybe I just want to make sure I don't get hurt right before free agency. I'm just saying. If it's PPR, I'm going McKinnon. I am. If it's standard, even half, I'll go Jacobs still. But if it's PPR, I'm going McKinnon. You cannot like Josh Jacobs this week. And then pretty easy for me to answer this one because I already talked about McMatty. Evans, Chark, McLaurin. It's not Evans. I can't start a guy who pretty much has no touchdown upside and is barely catching over 50% of passes thrown his way, which is not always his fault. Brady's bad throw percentage this year is way up. I mean, we all know the reason for that. But anyways, yeah, I'm going to go Chark and McLaurin. And then this is a good chance for me to also mention the defense video that just came out, defensive streamers. You want to check out the best options there. Now, of course, you got the Niners, the Eagles. I mean, Cowboys already played, but you got those teams. Just forget it. Like, you're good. But you need a defense or you just want the best possible matchup to help you get points. Check out the video. I'll give you my top 5 picks. So between these two, Chargers or New England, I'm going New England. I don't think Teddy B is terrible. He's not a turnover machine, but you've got to think they're not going to put up too many points. It's a home game for New England. I like the Pats, and you might not know, but the Pats have the second most sacks in the NFL this year. That's a pretty good thing. If your league counts sacks, which it should, go New England. And yes, I do get being worried about Cam Akers dominating there. All right. Next question from Scott Harrison. Which, by the way, still not sponsored by Bang. We're unofficially sponsored by Bang. It's the fuel that keeps the fantasy end game going. But we are, see where this is going. We are sponsored by Manscaped. So go to manscaped.com, use promo code ENDGAME, 20% off, free shipping. Makes the perfect New Year's Eve gift. All right. So Scott wants to know, in PPR, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, 2 flex. Okay. Barkley, Walker, Kamara, Dillon, Akers. You got a lot of running backs here. Higgins, Metcalf, Godwin. Okay. Running back, I'm easily starting Barkley and Walker. No questions there. Barkley, Walker, done. 2 receivers. I mean, you only got 3 choices here. I'm definitely starting Higgins. I'm actually going to go Godwin over Metcalf. I've already been talking about Metcalf against the Jets. Legit reason to be worried about Metcalf. Already said Jets allow second fewest points. 2 wide receivers on the season. He's the guy who will get a lot of Sauce Gardner, that is. So I like Godwin. Like, as much as I'm worried about Evans, Godwin has been getting better as Evans has been getting worse fantasy-wise. Godwin is a solid start this week. Like, Tampa Bay is going to throw it a lot. They need to win this game. I feel a good Godwin week. All right, so Higgins and Godwin. Now, at your 2 flex, I'm not starting Kamara. I already said this. I think you have to go Akers. Definitely like Akers. So it's between Dillon and Metcalf. This is full PPR. I mean, should be Metcalf. You should favor Metcalf. It's so hard to know what Green Bay is going to do with their backfield. I feel like there's better scoring upside as far as touchdowns with Dillon. I feel like Dillon is going to give you a little bit of a higher floor. Would I flex him over Metcalf? That's the question. So to me, it's your gut call between those two. I feel like Dillon gives you a little bit higher floor. I would probably go Dillon. If you feel like Metcalf could have a big game, he's a guy who can always make a big play. I don't feel it this week. You could go Metcalf if you're feeling lucky with him, but I'd probably flex Dillon, even though it's PPR. All right, McMatty, already got to that one. Is that the same one twice, or did I just go backwards? Oh, okay. So you do a regular chat, but that was a super chat. My bad. All right, and then we got Glenn Bartra. In full PPR, we need one. James, Myers, Cooks, Dobbs, Dortch, or Gage. Okay, my other starters: Adams, Pittman, had Hopkins. Okay, so let me tell you this. Yes, I would still start Adams with these guys, even though I could see them being outscored by these guys. But look, I wouldn't start Pittman over those guys, to be honest. I would say I would go Adams, and then instead of Pittman, I would go Dortch. And then the one I'm going to pick between the rest of those guys, if Watson doesn't play, it's Dobbs. I'm going to flex Dobbs. I'm assuming this is flex or third receiver, whatever it is. I'm going to go Dobbs. So I would go Adams, Dortch, Dobbs. If Watson does play, I mean, I do still like Dobbs, but I might go between. I mean, look, I mentioned I like Richie James this week. He's a good sleeper pick. I like Jacoby Myers this week. He's also a good pick. But I probably go Brandon Cooks because he's clearly the number one guy there. I think he's got the best matchup. So I probably go Cooks. But right now I go Adams. I would go Dortch, and I would probably put Dobbs in there. Okay, and then at kicker, Pinero, no, Dicker, Suckup, or Badgley. I like I like Badgley. I know both those guys, Dicker and Badgley, are the two I'm thinking of. Those are both guys playing indoors. That helps. Badgley's been really good. I think they're going to score a lot this week. Um, I feel better chance for them getting in the field goal range more often. I'll go Badgley. And no, oh, well, I'm not going to put that up here, but yeah. All right. Eve, Burrow or Goff? You got to go Burrow. I know it's Buffalo's defense. The Bengals have been so good lately. You cannot sit Burrow in a game where you figure they're going to have to pass a lot. You got to go Burrow. Look, Goff should be great this week. I love Goff, but I'm not sitting Burrow on the chance that Goff has a great game. So still going Burrow for sure. All right, next one. And this is from a different Moises de la Vara. All right, so we need to here. We got Richie James, Brandon Ayuk, Pacheco, or Dobbs. All right. I can easily, and again, it doesn't say, I don't remember if your league is PPR or not. Even so, I'm going to say no to Pacheco. Don't feel the upside this week. Even when he's been in great spots the last 2 weeks, it's just been okay. A little disappointing to me, honestly. But I will say no to Pacheco. I like Ayuk this week. I really do. The Raiders, not good against receivers. Um, I'm going to say Ayuk is one. And then I'll say what I've been saying. I really like Dobbs. If Watson doesn't play, it's definitely Dobbs. Richie James, I think is decent. Look, even if Watson does play, I think I still give the edge to Dobbs over James. I think I do. I think Dobbs is a good enough spot. I will give him the edge. I think I trust the target share there more. Of course, them actually throwing the ball more often than the Giants. Giants just might not really have to throw it much at all. It's the Colts. So I like James this week, but I think I like Dobbs better. So I'm just going to say Ayuk and Dobbs, and that is it. All right. Let's see here. We have. All right. These nuts. I said it. There you go. These nuts. All right. Start to bench one. K9, you're starting him. DJ Moore or Nick Chubb. I don't love Nick Chubb this week, but I think I'm still starting him over DJ Moore. I felt like it was going to be a good DJ Moore last week, and it was, but it's different matchup. Tampa Bay has been fine on defense, not terrible. Moore could have a good game, but I'm not necessarily feeling it's a great spot for him. There's definitely a lower floor. Chubb is a guy who has not been leading your team to a championship in the playoffs. Not his fault. Look, I'm going to be honest. I don't feel a great Chubb week coming, but I still think I give the edge to him over Moore. I feel like there's a higher ceiling for him. So it is tough. But I think I'm gonna bench DJ Moore out of this group. Mr. Jones. Welcome back, Mr. Jones. All right, we need a flex. Dotson, Dylan, Pacheco, White, DPJ, or Richie James. I said no to DPJ. I already said no to Pacheco a lot, no to White. I won't like James over those two guys. Dotson and Dylan, PPR. I'll go Dotson. Full PPR, you definitely got to give the edge to the guy who's been getting targeted a ton. That's the thing. I mean, look, is Carson Wentz just going to let us all down and just have a terrible game? You never know. But I don't think so. It's not like he can't support his wide receivers to the point where they're fantasy relevant. And Dotson has been really good. He's been coming on. Wentz will target him. So I think I will go with Dotson. All right. Let's see here. All right, let's do a couple, not super chats, but some of our most loyal viewers here. Welcome back, Kathy, from High Low Photo Video. Waddle Diggs, Allen, me too. Got to start Diggs, and I'm still starting Allen. Not too worried about him, especially probably getting less of Jalen Ramsey being the slot guy primarily. Waddle, not bad, not a guy you have to sit, but compared to those other two, it's Diggs and Allen. I'm definitely going Diggs and Allen. And then Blair, welcome back, Blair. Zay Jones or Hollywood Brown? You know what? I'm going to go Hollywood Brown because D Hop is out and because it's not Trace McSorley at quarterback. Blau's a guy who can at least sling the ball. He will probably, and it's a great matchup. So I'll go Hollywood in this case. What is up, Johnny? Johnny's always with us. Pick three, Diggs, yes. Cooper, probably not. Wilson, if it's Garrett Wilson, yes. Evans and Slayton. Okay. So look, Diggs and Wilson are the obvious ones. You definitely starting them. Oh man, Cooper, Evans, Slayton. I can't love Slayton this week because that's why we like Richie James because he's the guy who will be on the inside. Kenny Moore, that slot corner for Indy, is still out. He's been out. Stephon Gilmore is on the outside there. He's active for the Colts. He's really good. Slayton, I can't feel a big Slayton week, and we don't know how much they're really going to pass the ball. So it's between Cooper and Evans, who, I mean, let's just face it, they've both been really disappointing, especially during the fantasy playoffs specifically. You gotta love when you have those guys who are really good all year, like top 20 receivers all year, and then right before week 14, they just bust. I'm gonna go Cooper. And again, not that I expect Evans to do zero, not that he'll do nothing, but look, we have to admit Cooper has more scoring upside. He'll get probably more targets. Don't love it, but I'm going to go Cooper. So I'll go with those first three: Diggs, Wilson, and Cooper. Here's an interesting question. So go back to this, by the way. Nick is going for the repeat. Like to hear that. And his dilemma is just like you were expecting in the title game: Gardner Minshew or Mike White. I think it's got to be Minshew. I mean, you saw what he did last week was really good. There's nothing to worry about in this matchup. It's New Orleans. They've been, a team that's just ready for next season. I think I'm going to go Minshew. Philly does want to get that seed, top seed clinched and locked up. I think Minshew will be fine fantasy wise. I'll go with Minshew. And then what is up? New York to Florida Jets fan. Welcome back. Half PPR, you got one running back and one flex open. Lazard, Pittman, Foreman, or Swift. Okay. So for your running back, this is one where I'm not sure, but I wonder Chris might disagree with me. I think he's still kind of holding a candle for Swift a little bit. I know he catches passes and could score and all that, but it's half PPR. I'm going Foreman. The guy I know is going to get touches. I feel like he's just as much touchdown upside. At running back, I'm going Foreman. Now at the flex, it's like, okay, do I flex Swift or do I flex Lazard? Because Pittman, I'm not starting. Hmm. I mean, being half, maybe that does help Swift. So, but then who has the more upside as far as touching, the ball frequently? You know what? The hell, I'm gonna go Foreman and Swift. I'm gonna go Foreman and Swift. I feel like Pittman is not really startable. Lazard could be fine. I don't know. Maybe I'm too down on Lazard. Um, but half PPR, I feel like is a little bit too touchdown dependent. So I'll go Foreman and Swift. All right. And then let's see. All right. And Kathy, I know I already just answered this, but want to show it. Appreciate you giving the super chat as well. Waddle, Diggs. You got trust issues with Diggs? I mean, look, I know he had a bad game, but look, this is the game where he could go off. It's the Bengals. Everyone expects this to be a shootout. A lot of teams who drafted best ball in those tournaments, like we did, an underdog especially, were targeting, because this became a thing last year, circle the calendar, target week 17, right? Who are the teams that are going to have these big score matchups? Who are the teams that are going to carry you to the championship? Because this is the week where you got the guy that goes off, and people had this game circled. It was Bengals Bills. Going to be a shootout. Going to be two of the best teams. It should be. It doesn't mean it will be, but look, you've got to expect a lot of points on the board. Diggs is going to get a ton of targets. Cincinnati doesn't have a lockdown corner. I don't think you have to be worried about Diggs at all. If there's trust issues, it'd be with Waddle. So I'm definitely going Diggs, and then Allen. I'll go Allen as well. And then we got Zachary Hink. Thank you so much. Appreciate that, Zachary. All right, so let's get this right. We got Komet or Goddard at tight end. I mean, look, I know I called Komet a boom, put him in the video. I said he's a guy who could have a huge week, but Goddard was a must start. If you watch the tight end video, Goddard's the guy you really don't have to worry about. I mean, Minshew, if anything, could be good for him. I think he was fine last week. I'm going Goddard. I know Komet maybe could have a bigger week, but that's a maybe. Um, I'm going Goddard at tight end. All right, then you need a wide receiver two and the flex. You got Watson, Evans, Lockett, and Zay. All right, so of this group, I can pretty easily say no to Evans. I can definitely say if Watson plays, you start Watson. So we'll start with this. If Watson doesn't play or you're worried, they say that he's going to be limited and you get a bad feeling or something they say, then it's Lockett and Zay and you're done. If Watson plays and you feel like he's good to go, it's Watson. And I think it's Lockett for me. I mean, if he plays, obviously that means he's good. It was a finger injury. Look, sure, it could always happen again, but it's not a knee or an ankle, something that should limit his mobility. And again, said this with DK, where I worried about DK on the outside because of Sauce Gardner, and they got DJ Reed on the other side. Lockett plays out of the slot. Look, Seattle needs to win this game. They need it. They're going to target Lockett probably a fair amount. Don't forget, Marcus Goodwin is out. Like he's on IR. I feel pretty good about Lockett, actually. I feel better about Lockett than I do about DK Metcalf. So I think it's Watson and Lockett. If Watson doesn't play or you're worried, then it's Lockett and Zay. Which, again, did we think at the beginning of the year that Mike Evans would be the last choice out of this group? Raps, I think I answered this already. If it was your same question from before, Lazard or Hollywood, it's Hollywood. Definitely going Hollywood. What is up, George? George Brennan. If Watson is out, who to flex? That's the question of the day, right? Of the week. Okay, so you have all the guys we like, all our favorite sleepers and boom picks. You got Algier, Chark, Dotson, or Dobbs. Um, okay, so I get that. I mean, especially based on last week, what happened with Watson, you've got to be worried 'cause that's what happened. He played, he's just making it through the game. Um, look, if it's my team, I'm starting Algier. Have him. I'll have him and Chark and Dobbs, all his booms. But look, I get that if Watson is out, Dobbs might be the play, right? If Watson is just completely ruled out, doesn't suit up, go Dobbs. If we just still don't know game time or questionable or he plays, you know what? Just go Algier, and I think you're safe. Algier has been great, and this is such a good spot for him. So if Watson doesn't play at all, I think I would put Dobbs in. But if he does, I would go Algier. But these are all actually really good options. So I don't think I'm too worried. In this case, since you do have so many quality options, um, maybe you are better off just sitting Watson, even if he does play. Evan Esterkamp. All right, pick one. We got Mike Williams, Hollywood, James, and Chark. Okay, so again, like James this week, but not more than those guys. I'll put him at the bottom of the list. Haven't had a Mike Williams question yet. So look, Mike Williams, kind of boom bust. I still think I have to have him over these guys. He's got Justin Herbert throwing to him, not David Blau or Jared Goff. I like Chark this week. You know, I like Chark. I could see Chark doing Mike Williams things, but I still think I would probably go Mike Williams. I know I get the Jalen Ramsey treatment, but Williams is a guy so hard to sit because he doesn't need really a ton of targets. I think he's still always got that upside. Um, Chark would be the one I probably might consider next compared to a guy like Williams. I think I'm still keeping Williams in my lineup, honestly. All right, Johnny with another one. We need two: Mixon, Chubb, B Rob, or Pacheco. I'm I might surprise you. I'm not going Pacheco. I'm going Mixon. I think you have to start Mixon in this matchup because should be high scoring. Look, Mixon is getting a ton of catches. It's PPR. He's the guy out of all the guys in this group. Like he's the only one who really is a pass catcher. You know, none of these running backs other than Mixon catch passes, but he catches a lot of passes, and they might need him to. So I'm definitely starting Mixon. I'm going B Rob. I'm going Robinson over Chubb. I'm going Robinson over Josh Jacobs. I'm going Robinson over a lot of really good running backs in bad situations this week. He's in a great spot already. You know, Cleveland's got a terrible run defense, and now Gibson's not even playing. Tony Gibson ruled out. Wentz back at quarterback. I don't feel like they're going to go back there and have him throw the ball 50 times. I just don't. Well, first of all, they're not going to need to because it's Cleveland and Cleveland doesn't score these days. They need to win to make the playoffs. Washington wants to win this game. I think they're going to do what has got them near the playoff race, which is defense and run game. It's not going to be throwing the ball as much as possible, which is why I'm a little sketchier on Dotson than I was earlier. I like Dotson, but again, I don't think it's a shoe-in that he's necessarily going to smash. But anyways, I love Robinson this week. I'm definitely going Robinson and Mixon. Best matchups for sure. All right, Shane Donahue. All right, so we got three here: McKinnon, Dylan, Kirk. Haven't heard about him. Kittle and Jamal Williams. Interesting. All right. I guess we're looking for flex plays here. I'll say no to Jamal Williams. I know you didn't specify if it's PPR or not, but I mean, come on. The upside for him, it's touchdown or bust, and I'm not taking that chance. Dylan could score a touchdown just as easily as Jamal Williams. In fact, he's been better the last couple weeks than Jamal Williams. So if I'm benching one between these guys, I mean, it's kind of hard to bench Kittle, isn't it? The way he's been smashing. Even last week, it was supposed to be a bad matchup, a terrible matchup on paper. We didn't care. And now it's the Raiders. I almost feel like I feel best about him in this group. Christian Kirk, boom or bust, right? You want to roll a dice and see what you get, but it's a good spot for him. It's Houston. He should get you at least a safe few points. He's going to get receptions. It may not be his huge week. He hasn't really been putting up huge weeks lately, but I still think I feel good enough about him. Again, assuming it's PPR or at least half, I would still go with him over like Dylan. And then I go McKinnon. So McKinnon, Kirk, and Kittle for me. Yeah. And you know, I probably realistically, even if it was a non PPR league, maybe I would go Dylan over McKinnon, but not necessarily. I think you're good with those guys. All right, catching up here. So now I know I definitely can't blame Chris for when we fall behind as far as answering questions. Well, catching up here, we're about 30 minutes behind on the super chats. Guys, if you drop the super chat, stay on. I will get to it guaranteed until they're all answered. A couple of reminders here. By the way, if you see on the bottom, for those who are just joining us late, um, if you want to try a way to get in touch with us one on one, it's like this, but it's actually FaceTime with us one on one. There's an app called Did It, one of our new partners on and not on Android, on iOS devices, and they do have a web app coming soon. So if you check out, if you have an iPhone, iPad, download Did It, and anytime we're available, you can put in a request to speak to us, and it's basically like this, but with personalized advice for your championship game or for coming up your draft strategy. Also, you want endgame merch? bearclothing.org, proud partner of ours. And look, even if you don't want just fancy endgame shirt, you could go with one that has the Bear Clothing logo. It got some nice stuff on there, some great athleisure and athletic wear for all you guys out there who just are about to make your New Year's resolution that you keep for about a month and a half. Um, Chris, Chris is a personal trainer, and so he knows from personal experience that the gym gets really busy in January, and then it starts dying down about February. Look, it happens to the best of us. I'm right there with you, but for that 1 month when you do work out, you want to look good. Go to bearclothing.org, get some endgame gear, and support us. And then also, we'll keep this one up here. You can join us all year long. Someone was asking, what do we do in the off season? Well, guess what? We talk fantasy football and we do videos and we still do live streams instead of this for start sit. We do mock drafts. We're going to be drafting in a couple of weeks. I'm not kidding you. We're going to be drafting for next year, and ask the guys who have been with us, who are in those end game leagues. We'll have a bunch next year, whether it helps or not. It does. Trust me. And it's fun. Oh, by the way. So join the Discord and you can figure out how to get in on that because that's where we post all our announcements as far as how to join us. All right. So let's go on with Mary Jo McKay. Would I consider playing Fields over Allen? I mean, look, I get it because, of course, it's the Lions. And the last time Fields played the Lions, he went crazy. And in fact, there was a stat I posted in the Discord the other day. Fields, there's certain teams that like to play man coverage, more often than others. And the teams that have played man 40% or more of the time against Justin Fields in those games, guess what Justin Fields did? He went crazy running the ball because he knows there's not, guys in the secondary there sitting back waiting and playing that zone to stop him. He can see where the holes are and he can run wild. And guess what the Lions do a whole lot of? They play man coverage. You know what happened the last time Fields played the Lions? He went crazy. But I'm not starting him over Josh Allen. You can't, the guy who's the number one quarterback in fantasy, the team that, look, they want to win this game. Trust me, both these teams want that number one seed. They want to beat each other. It should be a high scoring game. Josh Allen has that rushing upside that Justin Fields does. Maybe not yardage wise. He's not going to run for 170 yards, but he can definitely run for a touchdown. He's going to be the focal point in this game, this offense. You've got to love Fields this week, but I'm not sitting Josh Allen. I can't do it. So would I consider it? Yeah, briefly, I would, but I'm not doing it. So hopefully, help. Look, you have both these guys. You really don't have anything to worry about because either way, you're going to have a top 5 quarterback, I think. All right. And then let's see. We are okay. Another one here. Start 2 from these nuts. Start 2, bench 1 for finals. It's the same one. I think I already answered this. So if you didn't hear earlier, I'm benching DJ Moore. And then Rico Baptiste, defensive question. Another chance for me to say, check out the defense video. You can get my complete thoughts on why I like certain defenses better. I don't necessarily do it in order. I think it's kind of an order of what I prefer, but it also depends. Look, here's the thing with defense. Team defense scoring is different in a lot of leagues. Like if you're just playing in the standard Yahoo or ESPN league, I know it's usually kind of the same, but those aren't uniform. A lot of people have custom defensive scoring settings. You get a bonus, if you massive bonus if your team gets a shutout or under 7 points. Some teams, some leagues, it's like 2 points for interception. Some it's 3 points for interception. So, anyways, it kind of depends. But look, I know the Giants are in a great spot because it's the Colts, but I'm starting the Eagles. Eagles have shown, even against the Cowboys, remember, they put up fantasy points on defense. They gave up a lot of points, but they got turnovers. They got a defensive touchdown. I'm going with the Eagles. They get the Saints. I am not worried about the Saints much more than I am about the Colts. So I'm going with the Eagles. Even though the Giants, I know, are in a great spot, I'm going Eagles. Much better real life defense. Yeah. Chris Poo 44. Myers or Adams? I mean, look, I'm worried about Devontae Adams, but I can't sit him for Myers. Sure, I could see Jacoby Myers outscoring him, but if the Raiders are even halfway trying in this game, which you'd think they would, they're still going to throw it to Devontae Adams. I think he'll be okay. He's not going to have a huge game, no, but I can't guarantee that Jacoby Myers will have a better game. I'll still go to Devontae Adams. He's still one of the best receivers in the league. And then you got Bulldog 0921. If Watson sits, Dobbs over Dotson. Yes. I still like Dotson. Um, but look, especially if Watson doesn't play, again, Vikings, most points allowed to wide receivers on the entire season. And it's actually been even worse for them over the past month. It didn't start that way. The Falcons were always the worst. The Vikings just giving up a ton of points to receivers. And the Packers are going to need to throw to keep in this game. And that they're definitely in must win territory here. So I'm going Dobbs if Watson sits. If Watson plays, it's still kind of close for me. I think I'd probably really have to wrestle with this. I don't know what the rest of your lineup looks like. I still like Dobbs, even if Watson plays, but Dotson's probably the safer pick, I guess. And then Mary Jo, another one. Waddle, Zay Jones, Chark, or Jacoby Myers. Like, you can only pick one of these. I mean, I like Jacoby Myers this week. I know I put him in one of the videos as a guy that's kind of a boom, but I probably put him last. I think I like Chark better than Zay. Am I going to start Chark over Waddle? I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. Not just because I'm a Waddle stan and a Dolphins fan, but Waddle is a guy that can always have a big game, even with a backup quarterback. It's not Skylar Thompson. It's Teddy Bridgewater. The Dolphins need to win too. Look, I know it's not a great matchup, but I don't know that I could sit Waddle for Chark. So if it's my team, I'm going Waddle. Yeah, I like Chark this week, but I can't just outright sit Waddle. All right, so New York to Florida, Jets fan. Again, got a lot of those in Florida. PPR, we get Ingram or Higbee. I think I gotta go Ingram, and Higbee is questionable. He's banged up. Bad timing, of course, but Ingram, you almost you have to start Ingram. We had him as a must start this week, so you got to start Ingram. No worries there. Don't mess with Higbee. Go Ingram. You're good. One running back, Akers, White, Harris. I can go Akers pretty comfortably. I get it's tempting if Ramondre doesn't play, which we haven't heard that he's sitting for sure, but even if he sits and Harris is playing, I still go Akers. I mean, you think, oh, Harris will get all the work. Well, Akers is already getting the work. And that offense is going through him, and he's got a good matchup. So I'm going Akers for sure, Ingram for sure. Okay. 3 receivers in the flex. I think I remember this from last week. I think you're trying to see Amon-Ra, right? Amon-Ra and AJ Brown. Yes, you're starting those two guys. Here's where it gets interesting. Dortch, Dobbs, Watson, Gage. Okay, I'm going to say no to Gage. So we need 2 more, right? A receiver and a flex. I'm not flexing either of those running backs, especially if it's PPR. So you're definitely starting Amon-Ra. You're definitely starting AJ Brown. I'm going to go Dortch. And same thing I've been saying. Watson if he plays, Dobbs if he doesn't. All right. And into finals. Awesome. Well, thank us next week after you win at least one of those, hopefully. hopefully. Look, you got some good choices there. I think you're in a good spot. All right, what is up, Roberto? Definitely the spiciest of our patrons. All right, let's see how spicy this question is. Myers, Devontae Smith, DJ Chark. Like Myers, but not over those guys. Look, if it's Devontae Smith, you're starting Devontae Smith. You have to start Devontae Smith. He was fine. In fact, he was more than fine with Minshew last week. Great matchup still. You got to start Devontae Smith. I would have Chark number two of those guys, but you've got to start Devontae Smith. Not even a question. All right, let's see here. Trying to get to as many of your questions, of course, still doing the super chats. Let's go to Brian. Brian Norland. All right. RB, start two, flex one. Okay, so Jacobs, Dylan, Pacheco. You have to start two of those running backs. I think it's got to be Jacobs and Dylan. You're like, I don't like Jacobs, but I like him better than Pacheco. I would still go Jacobs first of those guys. Dylan would be second. At wide receiver, Diggs, Brown, Dotson, Dobbs. Okay, so those guys are interesting, but I mean, Diggs, you have to start Diggs. AJ Brown, you're starting AJ Brown. Um, do I bench Jacobs and run with a wide receiver in flex? Yes, you should flex a wide receiver. I'm trying to. Hopefully, I'm reading this right, Brian. He's RB. You only need. I'm assuming you're saying start two, like you need two running backs. If you only need one running back, it would still be Jacobs for me. He would be the running back. If you need two running backs, it would be Jacobs and Dylan. At wide receiver, you have to start Diggs, you have to start Brown. My third choice there would be Dotson. Again, if Watson doesn't play, and then I go Dobbs. Um, if you're needing to flex one in addition to that, then it would be Dobbs. So I guess that's my way, long-winded say of saying my rankings there. All right. Dylan Kearns, half point. We need a receiver and two flex. Adams, Lockett, Dobbs, Zay, Dortch, Foreman, Pacheco, Mostert. Oh, man. Can't do Mostert. Okay, half PPR, one receiver, only one receiver. Um, well, okay, you're flexing two anyways, so let's do this. I'm gonna go Lockett. I'm gonna go Adams, and because it's half PPR, I would say Dortch. A little down on him. Do I like Foreman better than Dortch? For me, it's between those two guys, Foreman or Dortch. I'd probably still go Dortch. All right, so Adams, Lockett, and Dortch. And then at QB, Lawrence or Goff. I think I have Lawrence ranked higher. They're still throwing the ball a ton. I don't feel like they're going to take the foot off the gas pedal in this game. I know Goff could have a monster game. I really think he will. I think I have Lawrence a little bit higher still. And then tight end, Njoku, Komet or Hill. If that's Komet, which I'm assuming it is, Komet for Chicago, I'm going Komet. And then a defense, Casey or Giants, definitely going Giants. Look, I know Denver's terrible, but Kansas City's defense is not much better. Go with the Giants. They're facing the Colts. I'm going with the matchup there. And then Brian, okay, it is full PPR. So back to that question. So Brian, again, full PPR. That doesn't really change too much for me. I think you still go Jacobs, even it's Diggs and Brown for sure. Dotson. All right. Get to the next one here from Brandon Malone. Need two flex, full PPR. Garrett Wilson, Lenny, Swift, Judy, Algier, and Juju. Ouch. Okay. I'll say I feel like you have to go Garrett Wilson. And then I'm kind of stuck between Lenny, Judy, and Algier. I know that Juju had a big game against Denver last time. I'm not necessarily trusting him over those guys. Look, full PPR, Lenny is catching as many passes as these receivers. That's the thing. I don't feel like I can put Algier over Lenny. Love Algier this week, but in full PPR, I still think we have to give the edge to Lenny. And then it's Judy. I mean, do you trust Judy to have a big week again like he did against KC? He should. Is that questionable tag something to worry about? I might just go Lenny because I really feel like we're going to see another huge Lenny volume week. Like it's going to be a huge yardage week. There's no guarantee, but I'm going to go Lenny based on the fact that he's getting so many receptions. He's got scoring upside. I'll go Garrett Wilson and I'll go Lenny. And then Darius Blagman. All right. So we got AJ Brown and Waddle. Should I bench Devontae Adams for Josh Jacobs? No, I prefer Devontae Adams. Or Pacheco? No, no. Alvin Kamara and Algier and RB1 too. Okay, well, let me tell you something. I'm not starting Alvin Kamara. So I would change that before we get to the quarterback question. Okay, AJ Brown and Waddle, you're fine there. Do I bench Devontae Adams? No. I would switch Kamara for Jacobs, even though I really don't like Jacobs' matchup and I'm really worried about Jacobs. I'm more worried about Kamara. I would rather have Jacobs in there. So that's what I would do. I'd keep Algier. I would swap Jacobs for Kamara. I would keep Adams in there. And then Purdy or Watson, you can't start Watson. Watson doing nothing for you. I'm going to go Purdy. Um, yeah, going Purdy. Axe attack. Singletary, haven't heard about him yet. Rashad White and Jeff Wilson for RB2. You cannot trust that Miami backfield. And oh, by the way, going against the Patriots, which are, let me see, second or third best run defense in the NFL. Yeah, not trusting Jeff Wilson. I would go Singletary out of that group. I'm actually rolling Singletary as my RB2 in one league again for the championship because I love him so much, but he's just the best of what I got because I did have Derrick Henry. And then Dotson or Chark, I'm giving the edge to Chark, slight edge to Chark. Both good options. I'm going with Chark. And then D Rock Music, Godwin, Moore, Dobbs, Watson, pick two. Okay. I go Godwin for sure. Same deal here. Watson plays, you play him. He doesn't, or you're worried about his usage, you go Dobbs. And look, guys, I'm going to say it again. I would not blame you if you just don't want the headache of Watson and you just want to go Dobbs. I think Dobbs is still in a good spot with or without Watson. Um, but I still feel like if Watson is playing and they're rolling him out there, he's the guy you want. So I would just say that. I'll still go Watson over Dobbs for now. All right, then we got Kelsey. Any changes? Half PPR, Mahomes. Nope. JJ, DK, maybe. Christian Watson, Connor, Walker, Akers, Dallas, and Maher. You're good there. All right. So Knight. Would I put Knight over those running backs? No, I would not. Connors is going to get a ton of touches and a really good matchup. Walker, you can't bench. Akers, no. Okay. Chark, Dotson, Dobbs. Here we go. Okay. So at running back, I think you're set. Foreman is fine, but not over those guys. Knight is fine, not over those guys. Here's the question. Okay. I think your lineup is good as is. If Watson doesn't play or is limited, blah, 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 you swap him out for Dobbs. The real question is do you put Chark instead of DK Metcalf? It is half PPR, which actually I think maybe gives a slight edge to Chark because he's a guy who doesn't get a ton of targets, but he's doing a lot with them. I might go Chark over DK. I honestly would. I would swap out DK for Chark, and I would put Dobbs in for Watson if Watson doesn't play or is limited. Or if, again, you just don't trust Watson. All right. And then Happy New Year from Germany. Awesome. I wonder, is it Legit question, is it already New Year's there? Because right now it's almost 6 o'clock my time, I'm Central Time. I know from Miami, when I grew up, Miami to France is a 6-hour difference. Yeah, 6 hours. I think it probably is already New Year there. All right, well, happy New Year if it is New Year there. Glad you're joining with us. That's pretty awesome. Um, all right, let's get to these questions here. Mark Silva, half PPR, you need a wide receiver and a flex. DPJ can't do it. Chark can definitely do it. Fournette, yes. Pickens, too risky. This one is actually pretty easy for me, Mark. I'm going Fournette at the flex, and I'm going Chark at receiver. Like both those guys. Pickens, he's kind of a slightly riskier version of Chark, to be honest. DPJ just cannot like this week. All right. And yeah, and I see your question again. Okay, same thing. Wait a minute. It's the same thing? It is the same thing. All right, Mark. You only had to do it once, but I don't know if you can retract that second one. I feel bad you put in 2 super chats for the same question, but I'll answer it again. You need a wide receiver and a flex, Chark and Fournette. Easy answer for me there. Those are the guys you should go with. So good luck. And then Edgar, still here. Standard. All right. Quarterback, running backs, 2 receivers. Okay. Barkley, yes. Chubb, Etienne, Swift. Okay. At running back, I'm going Barkley, Etienne. 2 receivers. I'm going Higgins, and I'm going Garrett Wilson. Quarterback, Goff over Minshew, yes. And Minshew's fine this week, but I definitely like Goff's matchup better. So I'm going Goff. Bench Schultz for Goddard. Look, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Touchdowns are so unpredictable. There's been a couple of weeks, especially I remember the game against Jacksonville when Dallas scored all sorts of points. They can put up 40. I mean, they've been scoring like 40 every week. But anyways, huge scoring output. Week before that, huge, and Schultz wasn't scoring. It was Hendershot, who couldn't even catch the ball last week, but he scored a touchdown that week. Pollard getting touchdowns. Noah Brown got 2 touchdowns, not Schultz. So, of course, what happens Thursday night, low-scoring game against Tennessee, it's Schultz with 2. Like, don't feel bad. Don't kick yourself over that. And Goddard is still in a good spot this week, so I think you'll be fine. All right, so you do want more touchdown upside since it's a standard league. So let's think about the flex here. At running back, you're definitely good with Barkley and Etienne. Wide receiver, you got Higgins and Wilson. At quarterback, you got Goff. At tight end, you got Goddard. Now, at the flex, I probably, since it's standard, I'm definitely sending DK. It's either Swift or Chubb. Again, I go Chubb because Swift really hurts his value not getting those points per reception. And you can't say he has better upside scoring than Chubb does, even though I don't love Chubb. Can't really feel great about Swift. So I'm going Chubb at the flex since it's standard. All right. And then Benny Black. Jags or Washington at defense? That's a good question. So I mentioned both of them in my defense video. Both good. So I'll just say offhand, if you remember, Washington is a team that will definitely keep the score total low. They haven't been giving up a lot of points, really most of the season since week 4 or 5. Well, since Carson Wentz was hurt. But anyways, but also they're a team that doesn't get a lot of turnovers. They're pretty good at getting sacks. Jacksonville will turn the ball over some. They're not as good at getting sacks as Washington generally. They're also giving up more points than Washington, but they get Houston. So the matchup slightly favors Jacksonville. If your league emphasizes sacks a little bit more, I think you prefer Washington. If your league emphasizes points scored against, even though Cleveland's hardly scoring, I think I would slightly go Jacksonville. So it's really close between those two. I don't know your scoring format. If you get a big bonus for points against, I probably would go Jacksonville. But if sacks are pretty important, I'd go Washington. Okay, so we're talking receivers here. You got Hill. You have to start Hill. Watson, questionable. Hopkins is out. So who do you like between Hill, Watson, and Hollywood? You're talking Tyreek Hill. There's no question. You start Tyreek Hill. If Watson plays, you play Watson. If Watson doesn't play, you go Hollywood. I'll just say that pretty straightforward. I still think being banged up, unless you hear something that makes you nervous tomorrow morning, if Watson is playing, I think I feel good enough about him to play him even over Hollywood. Rise above anything. Always with us. What is up? All right. So Flex, Dobbs, Richie James, Dortch, Corey Davis. I don't know about Corey Davis. Moss or Foreman. You're picking one of these guys. Okay. If Watson doesn't play, you're going Dobbs. If Watson does play, you go Dortch. Corey Davis not doing it for me. Moss, no thanks. Richie James, not over those guys. Foreman, kind of more of a floor play. But look, if this is a PPR league, I'm going with the receiver. I would go Dobbs unless Watson is full go and then go Dortch. And I'll say it again because I know not everyone's been with us the whole 2 hours, almost 2 hours. I don't mind Dobbs, even if Watson does play. I still like Dobbs. He's a little more boom bust and a little more risky. If you want to go for that ceiling, I could see it with Dobbs, but obviously you feel better about him if Watson doesn't play. And Dortch is more of a safe pick. He'll get his targets. Not a guy who breaks off big plays, scoring maybe. Again, you can't love him with David Blau at quarterback. This game could just go completely south for the Cardinals. It could, but I think he's still playable. All right, Edgar, got some more for us. Let's see. Standard, two quarterbacks. So it's a standard league, but it's super flex or two quarterback league. All right. Let's start with the quarterbacks. We got Russ, we got Josh Allen, and we got Minshew. Well, you're definitely starting Josh Allen. I'm going to say that. And look, I'm not buying into the Russ thing. I don't care. I'll take what Minshew gives me and not risk with Russ. Maybe he does whatever. I don't care. I'll go with Minshew. So Josh Allen and Minshew at quarterback. Three receivers: DK, Juju, Higgins. Okay, well those are three receivers. Okay, well then you got more here. Okay, let's go through the whole thing. DK, Juju, Higgins, Chubb, Connor, Walker, Lockett, Akers, Foreman, Cooks, and Dotson. Okay, so we need three receivers, two running backs, and a flex. All right. The way I'm thinking, I always set my running backs first. Let's do running backs. I'm going Walker and Connor because it's standard. I know Akers is really close for me. And look, I might flex Akers when it's all said and done. But at running back, let's just say Walker and Connor. At wide receiver, I'm going to go Higgins for sure. And standard, that definitely hurts Juju, but I like him better than DK. Block it. Man, this one is close. You need three guys. I'll go Juju still, and I'll go Lockett. Okay, so Higgins, Juju, Lockett are your receivers. Connor Walker at running back, and for the flex, I'll go Akers. You got touchdown upside here. Kind of tempting to go Dotson, but now I'll go Akers. Again, standard usually almost always favors the running back, but especially when you get guys who are basically the bell cow, getting all the work in the backfield. You got three of them. You got Connor getting all the work. Walker, when he's healthy, all the work. Akers, everything. All three of these guys have actually really good matchups this week. Okay, Walker's is okay, but really good matchups and scoring upside. That's what you want. Standard definitely knocks Juju and Lockett down a peg, but I still like him better than DK. I would still like him better than Cooks. Dotson is the one that's kind of tempting, but I'll go Juju and I'll go Lockett, trusting that he's healthy. All right. What is up, Ramu? Welcome back. So in PPR, here we go. And I know, Ramu, you always have a really good team. Andrews or Njoku? I can't start Mark Andrews. I mean, what has changed to make us want to even consider Mark Andrews? Lamar's not back. It is a bad matchup. The Pittsburgh defense has been great lately. It's not going to be a high scoring game. I'm not starting Andrews, so I'm starting Njoku. No, I don't feel great about Njoku, but I feel better than Andrews. Philly or the Giants had this earlier. Look, you've got to love the Giants matchup, but I like Philly's actual defense better. And Philly has been great no matter what the matchup is. I'm going Philly. I really don't mind them against New Orleans even a little bit. At the flex, Watson, Waddle, Lazard, Chark, Dawson. You always have that tough decision. You have so many good receivers. Look, if Watson is out, again, I like Chark and I like Dotson. I don't think I would put them over Waddle. So I'm putting Waddle in there if Watson is out. If Watson plays, I'm playing Watson. And then Najee or Swift has to finally pay off. Not necessarily. Between those two, I actually would go Swift because even though I don't trust Swift, I feel like Najee's in a bad spot. That Baltimore defense has been really good. It's going to be a low scoring game, most likely. A battle between these two teams who are both good defensively and not that great offensively. Najee's been fine, but he's really just kind of a floor play. Look, you take the 7, 8 points that Najee might get you, hope for a touchdown. If this is a PPR league, then I'd rather go with Swift because he catches 3 or 4 passes, gets you whatever yardage. He's already matching Najee. And then touchdown upside, his is probably better because of the matchup. So I would go Swift. Yeah, let's hope he actually does finally pay off. And then Kelsey, I forgot to mention Kelsey. How can you forget Kelsey? Thanks for, oh, well, you're welcome. Kelsey, let me see if I can go back to your comment from before because I know you put one back there. This will give me a good chance to kind of pause and remind you guys about 2 hours in now while we look for Kelsey's question or comment if I can find it. A couple ways you can join us besides this show right here, right now. Guys, you can join the Discord. It is free. It is easy. The link is below. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. That's obvious. Become a patron. Patreon.com/fantasy football endgame. You get a lot of stuff in that, especially starts in the off season. I know we do so much every week, all season long. But also, if you're talking about draft prep and off-season stuff, we're going to put a lot more stuff starting in the off-season, which is right after New Year's because we got one more week really here. Oh, there we go. I found it. One more week, and then it's the off-season. And you know what we do? We start getting ready for next season. Not kidding you. So you want to check out some Patreon only content. We do videos just for our patrons, but also we have mock drafts that we do all off season, and we'll do one for the general public. Whoever gets in there, it's in the Discord. You want to join the Discord? That's where we post the links for those mock drafts. We're going to draft with us and against us, and then we'll do one that's Patreon only. So, all right. So, Kelsey, any changes here? Oh, Kelsey, yeah. You're fine. You got the Mahomes Kelsey stack. You're pretty good. No, my answer still stands for what you had before. So no worries there. You forgot it. It happens. You're good. Kyle Burks. What is up, Kyle? All right. So got Deontay, Chark, Dotson, and PPR. I will put Deontay third of those guys. Now, Chark or Dotson, I keep saying this, give the slight edge to Chark. Dylan or Jones? That's look, probably no team more frustrating this week and the last couple of weeks than the Packers. Who's the running back that you should trust? What's Watson going to do? It's like, you just don't know. Honestly, don't know. I mean, you feel like it should be Aaron Jones. And he was just removed from the injury report. But look, he played the last 2 weeks and he's clearly not 100%. I almost feel like you kind of have to go Dylan just to play it safe here. I mean, I don't even know. I think I probably still have Jones higher because I feel like it should be Jones, but I think you probably need to go Dylan here. I mean, Dylan has been involved, cold weather game, maybe favors the bruiser, the guy here. I'll go Dylan. And then Roy L. Flush, what's up? Thanks for your help. Hey, no problem. Let's keep doing it. All right. So half point PPR, the tight end commit or Knox definitely commit. Knox is questionable. I think I mentioned that at the top of the show. Knox, here or there, have a big game. Komet has been getting targets. I know he hasn't been good in fantasy the last 2 weeks, production wise, but if you look, he's getting the target share. And you also have to keep in mind the last 2 weeks for the Bears, they've had brutal matchups. Playing the Eagles, that's not a great spot for anybody. I think you trust the target share. Komet could have a big game against the Lions. Not guaranteed, of course, but what are you guaranteed with Knox? It's Komet for sure for me. Watson or Lazard or Akers. I mean, look, well, you know what? I mean, this is half point PPR. Maybe you do go with Akers because I know it's so hard to keep Watson on your bench against Minnesota. Do you just not want to deal with a headache? I don't blame you if you just say like forget it. I'm going Akers. He's in a good spot. I don't want to worry about Watson getting ruled out halfway through the game or whatever. So do I trust Walker? Yes. Definitely trust Walker. Start Walker. You know what? Half point, just flex Akers. I think you're fine with that. I'm an Akers fan, but still, I think that's a smart play. All right, Miguel. What's up, Miguel? Pick two, Evans. Gonna pretty easily say no to Evans. I like Ayuk, like Dotson, like Hollywood. Okay, so once again, hard to believe, but Evans is the last out of these four receivers. I know you didn't say if this is PPR. I think I'll still go Ayuk and Dotson because again, even without Hollywood having really that target competition, Hopkins being out, you're still risking it. The fact that David Blau is going to get him the ball enough. I know the matchup is so good. But look, I felt much better about not just Hollywood, but also Hopkins or whoever's playing when it was going to be Colt McCoy coming back. I think Hollywood is okay, but I'll go with Dotson and I'll go with Ayuk. Again, who would have thought we'd be saying that? All right, John Lewis. No, I'm not going to go Minshew or Herbert. I'll still go with Herbert. Minshew will be fine this week, but I don't want to bench Herbert for him. Okay, so your opponent has Brown and Goddard. I don't really take that in consideration. Again, you think that with this offsets, if Brown scores and my guy scores, it I don't think that really matters. Look, in the end, and I know not everyone is necessarily into game theory, but if you think about outputs and how you're going to get a victory in fantasy football, like what your opponent does obviously matters, but you have zero control over what your opponent's players will do. The only thing you can control is the players that you put in and how much they score. If you think that Herbert is going to score more points than Minshew, it does not matter what your opponent players have. It's you put the guy who's going to score the most points. All right. So if you're worried that Minshew is going to have a big game, well, then you go with Minshew because then you think he might outscore Herbert. It's possible. Look, it's definitely possible that Minshew outscores Herbert. Look at last week. Who had more points, right? But I don't think I can do it. I think I feel fine with Herbert. Minshew might not have to throw the ball a ton because, again, they had to keep pace with the Cowboys last week, which has been the best scoring offense in the league since Dak came back and was the starter. Okay. I don't think New Orleans is going to challenge them that way. I don't know. Call it crazy, but I just don't. I don't feel like Minshew is going to have to throw the ball as much. I think he's fine, but he's more of a safe pick here. Herbert, look, he's not putting up huge point totals either, but I'd rather have Herbert because less chance for turnovers. I'm fine with Herbert. And then we got Jason Olivero. What's up? Half PPR, need one receiver. A wide receiver three. Okay. Not three receivers. Okay, we need one receiver here. We got Sutton. Interesting name. I haven't talked about Sutton yet today. Ayuk, Richie James. Okay, and I'm glad you said that. You need safety. Well, safety and upside. That's, I mean, yeah. If we could have a player who had both, that'd be great. Look, um, it's Ayuk for me because he's got the upside because he's on a good team against a bad team. Going against the Raiders, Raiders have been pretty bad against receivers all season long. As it stands right now, they're not the worst. But if you're talking in a full PPR league, I don't think, okay, half PPR, I don't think that changes things too much. Okay, but in full PPR leagues, the Raiders are 26th in terms of fantasy points allowed to wide receivers. Okay, Raiders are a team not on the upswing. They're a team that has been getting worse as the year goes on, as we see. So Ayuk is in a good spot. He does have a fair amount of safety, I feel. There's really no safety with Sutton. You know this because he's been banged up. You really going to trust a Denver Bronco in this matchup? I like Judy better than Sutton. Sutton's been banged up. Judy seems to be the guy who's kind of become the number one. I can't trust Sutton over Ayuk. Richie James, upside, sure. Safety, no. So I'm going to go, especially in half PPR, I'm going to go Ayuk. Definitely a better chance for a touchdown. But good luck and thank you. Look, I'll make this easier for you, Team Shaft. Uh, It should be Aaron Jones, given everything we know about these teams, but I'm going Tyler Algier. I'm going Tyler Algier. I feel really good about his chances for 100 yards and a touchdown. I don't know what Aaron Jones is going to do if he's going to touch the ball more than 10 times this game. He could, but I'd rather just have Algier and his points. Our commercial moving, Goff or Cousins, man, I'm going to have these guys neck and neck in my rankings. Though, if you're in the Patreon, by the way, guys, you already know, you've seen my rankings, which change every day. I'm going to update them again. But I'm actually going to give the slight edge to Goff. Slight edge because of the matchup. And I know people are like, oh, primetime Kirk Cousins. No, I think Kirk will be fine. I mean, you've seen he's put up big numbers almost all year. And this is a game he probably will need to throw the ball a lot. Packers are going to put him to the test. But also, Packers like to slow down the pace. It's not guaranteed this will be a huge high scoring game. Even the Vikings love to get into those games. It's going to be in Lambeau. You know, they're going to run the ball like the Packers do. Aaron Rodgers, as much as the Packers have been playing great, he isn't putting up big fantasy numbers. I think that I like the upside of Goff a little bit more. I think I could see him putting up bigger yardage totals. So, going to give the edge to Goff, but it's really close. I mean, look, if you want to go for safety, I guess you can go for Cousins, but I'm going for the guy who I think is going to have a bigger game. All right. I think we're actually, yeah, I think I'm caught up on the super chats. All right, but guess what? I'm going to keep going. I'm going to answer as many questions as possible. We'll try to get to some other questions from some people we haven't heard from, but also from some players we haven't heard about yet. So I'm going to get to that in a second. Have not heard about, and what is up, Chase? Welcome back. Chase Clausen, David Montgomery, or Tyler Algier. Look, can't hate Monty this week. He's going against the Lions. Talk about that game could be high scoring back and forth. I mean, if it's a full PPR league, I can see giving Monty the edge because he does catch passes. They got nobody to throw the ball to outside of Komet. Um, Definitely scoring upside. Same with Algier. So look, if you're in a full PPR league, I could see playing Monty, but my gut has been telling me for not just this week, but for the past 2 weeks. If you guys saw my early waiver wire video, had been doing, of course, no need to do it anymore. But my early waiver wire video, get ahead of the game, beat the breakout, stash these guys, pick them up now. 2 weeks ago, I said pick up Tyler Algier. He's going to help you this week. Maybe not so much the next week when he goes against Baltimore, but he's going to smash in championship week, week 17. I'm not backing off of that at all. So really like Montgomery, but I'm going Algier. I'm going Algier. Look, they're both good choices. I don't think you're really going to go wrong either way, but I'm going to go with Algier. Algier, Jay Drummer Kid, what's up? Algier over Swift? Yes. It's so hard to trust Swift. Definitely going to go Algier in that case. I define greatness. McKinnon or Pacheco? It's got to be McKinnon. McKinnon's the guy who's getting more touches because of receiving work. Look, if you're in a standard non-PPR league, I still go McKinnon because he's scoring more touchdowns than Pacheco. Pacheco has been in good spots as far as run defense the last couple weeks. Hasn't really been doing much. He's fine, but again, one of these guys who's been a little bit better, more valuable, I should say, real life than in fantasy. Um, he doesn't do it for me. He's not enough upside here. I'd rather get the guy who could have a big game, probably better chance to score, McKinnon. So, look, Pacheco's fast. He's a good hard runner. He's not a big guy. They're more likely to throw it to McKinnon or even just hand it off to McKinnon, even though he's a small guy near the goal line, as you saw what happened 2 weeks ago in that overtime when they beat Houston. McKinnon got more scoring upside. So I'm going McKinnon. Edgar, interesting question. Are worried Jags benching players? No, because we have not had any of their players ruled out, at least as far as I know, on offense. We're talking offense, what matters for fantasy. And Doug Peterson came out and said specifically, yeah, I know maybe this game doesn't count for like the playoff race, but I want to win every game. I'm paraphrasing. He didn't exactly say that, but he's saying every game counts. We're not resting guys. No. So I'm not worried about Jags. The Titans we knew coming in. Oh, Derrick Henry suddenly is questionable. Oh, and then he's doubtful. Derrick Henry's fine. They're just sitting him because they don't want him to get hurt. Okay. All of a sudden, half their defense and their offensive line was hurt. Okay. So Titans pulled that. Jags are not pulling that. I think it's the Texans. All right. Vlad Sanchez, Superflex. Love Superflex leagues. Got Purdy, but can also pick up Minshew. No, Hertz is not playing. Like, that's for sure. Purdy Minshew is really close. I think I'm giving the edge to Purdy. It's really, really close here, but I think I like Purdy because I feel like there'll be a little bit more emphasis to pass the ball there. That's a system where, they don't necessarily just pound the ground with running backs. I think there's still enough in there for Purdy to have a pretty good game. Pretty good game. Minshew, I think, is fine, but I give the slight edge to Purdy. It's really close, though. Really, really close. All right, what else we got here? By the way, guys, we'll be on a little bit longer here. Um, should mention a couple of things. Let's do a little recap here. A couple of things. First of all, you've been with us this week, last week, all season, doesn't matter. For some reason, if you're not subscribed, we appreciate if you subscribe. That helps us to be able to put out more content, do what we do what we love, but also to help you guys and to provide more for you. So, also, if we've helped you at all ever, hit the like button. That also does help. Don't take it for granted. You're sitting there watching, but you never click that button. It takes 2 seconds. Click the like button. Even if you don't like this, just click the like button anyways. Do the right thing. All right. And then you can join us on Patreon, patreon.com/fantasy football endgame. That's definitely a place you want to be during the off season. I know you think, oh, that season's over. Why do I need fantasy football help? I guarantee you, the guys that are in our endgame leagues and the guys who are now on here and girls saying that they made it to the finals and they're playing for a championship, repeat, first time ever. They've been with us since the beginning, and they were in our mock drafts, and they were checking out all the stuff we did in the off season. Okay, trust me, you don't want to be that last second guy who's flipping through the magazine before draft day and figuring out, oh, who's ranked, whatever. The more information you get, the sooner you get it, the better it is. Trust me, been doing this a while. And then, of course, you can join us in Discord for free. All right, Wise. We need 2 receivers and a flex. Hollywood, Dotson, Algier, Komet, Chark, Dillon, Akers, Watson. Man. Okay. So let's start with the 2 receivers. This flex option is gonna be really tough. You basically, I think you just took a list of like all the sleepers we put for this week and you just put them on there. This is like a test. Okay. Look, if Watson plays, you play him. It's that simple. If Watson doesn't play, I'm going Chark. Dotson. I'll go Watson and Dotson. No, Watson and Chark. And if Watson doesn't play, then Chark and Dotson. Okay. At the flex, well, this is what's interesting. Like Komet as a tight end, but I wouldn't flex him over these guys. I would put Dylan last of these guys. I would put Hollywood behind these running backs. I like Algier just a little bit than Akers. So the question is wide receiver, running back. I'm going all in on Algier. So I say flex Algier, Watson and Chark. Watson doesn't play, Dotson and Chark. Hopefully that helps. Now, Aaron Levy wants to know Akers or Pacheco. I'm definitely going Akers in this case. Been talking about Pacheco. Doesn't really have that upside this week. Akers has been really good over the last few weeks. Guys don't even realize because a lot of people look, last week he had that big game. It was against Denver. Okay. But if you were paying attention before last week, he had already been good. He had been scoring almost a touchdown per game or the previous three. And he's now averaging 4.5 yards per carry ever since Daryl Henderson got cut. I don't know if that's what he was waiting for. Maybe that's what he was complaining about back when he had that little thing. Remember, he was asking to be traded, and then he was all, I'm not playing for them. Now he's playing for them. I don't know. Maybe he had beef with Daryl Henderson. Who knows what it was? But Akers has been good even before last week. And of course, last week he went off and against the Chargers. Okay. Look, there's no guarantee he gets 100 yards or 3 touchdowns or 2 touchdowns or even scores. He might not, but you've got to love his upside. Pacheco has not had that upside. I'm going to go back here. There's one comment I wanted to get to, but got to rewind a little bit. Here we go. Big Rick. Haven't had enough tight end questions. And we definitely haven't had one that involved either Ty Conklin or Noah Fant. So full PPR, Conklin or Fant. Look, I get the Conklin thing because it's Mike White back in at quarterback. And Seattle has actually been one of the worst defenses against tight ends. The Jets are a really good defense. That's the thing. Jets are a really good defense. Now, mainly against wide receivers. Against tight ends, they're not bad either. Let me check specifically. I mean, in a vacuum, you ask who I like better or trust more between Fant and Conklin, it would be Fant. But based on the matchup, I mean, really, Jets aren't great against tight ends, but they hardly give up touchdowns. And that's really what are you getting from Fant? It's you're hoping for a touchdown or not much. I think I'll go in full PPR. I think I'll go Conklin and just hope Mike White targets him. So Seattle's second worst against tight ends, and they actually do give up some touchdowns to him. So risky either way, but look, I'm going Conklin between these two guys this week. This one's interesting. Andre Maru. We got Swift, Foreman, Dillon in non PPR. Because it's non PPR, I'm going to sit Swift because that really takes a chunk of his value out. Um, Dillon and Foreman in non PPR are pretty solid, kind of low end RB2s. Swift is just risky. You're really hoping for a touchdown, which those other guys can get and have been getting more than him lately, or a big play. Nah, I'll go Foreman and Dillon since it's non PPR. All right, and then a couple more here. Nick Njoku, Komet, or Waller. I mean, we can't trust Waller with Jared Stidham at quarterback, can we? Now, I know we say this a lot. When you got a young or inexperienced quarterback, they like to kind of focus on those short, easy passes, go with a big target, middle of the field, go with a tight end, but they're facing the 49ers. I'm not trusting Darren Waller, especially when I love Komet this week. And Joku's fine, but it's really not a good matchup for him. Komet, definitely Komet for me. Could be a big game. He's been getting targeted. Great matchup between these guys. I like Komet. Wise with the follow up. What if Hopkins? Okay, well, I can answer that for you. Hopkins is not playing. He's already been ruled out. Hopkins is definitely not playing. So, talking about Hollywood, look, on paper, you say, hey, Hollywood, he's the number one guy. Hopkins not playing. But who's his quarterback? No, really. Do you know who his quarterback is? It's David Blau, guy who was with Detroit last year. Pretty sure it was last year. And he's the fourth quarterback they've got now. because Kyler Murray's out for the year. Colt McCoy still got concussion symptoms. Trace McSorley is not good. So they're going to their fourth quarterback. I mean, come on. I know it's the Falcons and Hollywood could smash, but how much can he really smash? I would definitely prefer Algier, who I think will smash. Shark, great matchup for him. Definitely feel better about Goff throwing it to him. Um, Watson, if he plays, you have to play him. And I even feel better about Akers than I do about Hollywood. Hollywood's fine. Like, I don't mind him if that's your best option, but you've got better options, which is a good thing for you. So no worries there. All right. SSG King Easy. All right. What is up? Wide receiver two and a flex in PPR. You got Cooper, you got Kirk, you got Lazard, you got Pittman, you got Walker, Swift, and Algier. All right, you can make it tough for me in the flex because I like all those running backs. Look, let me just say this: wide receiver, I'm not starting Pittman. I know you feel like it should be Cooper. It is not this week against Washington. Is actually not a good matchup, and of course, you probably know this, but Cleveland is not a good offense with Deshaun Watson in there. Not. I would take a shot on Kirk. If I got to throw a wide receiver in there, I'm going to go with Kirk and hope for the big game. It's Houston. He's getting targeted as much as those other guys for the most part. I roll with Kirk. There's risk with all these guys, but Pittman definitely has the lowest floor, as we've seen. And yeah, I would trust Kirk over Cooper because of the matchup. Now, at the flex, I think I got to go with one of these running backs, even though it's a PPR league. Swift is not the guy, so it's Walker and Algier. I'm going Walker. He's too good, right? I love Algier this week. You know this, but it's so hard to sit Walker. And the Jets are a good defense, but again, not dominating against the run. They're good against the run, but they're not a shutdown run defense. They're shutdown pass defense, which makes you think Seattle's probably going to lean on the run as much as they can. I'm not worried about the injury. He's playing. He looked good. He always looks good when he plays. He's always one step away from taking it to the house. I want that upside in there. And look, I could see Algier outscoring him potentially, but I'm not sitting Walker if I got him. So I'm going with Walker at the flex, and I go with Kirk as your wide receiver too. All right, let's see what else we got. All right, we got some different guys here. Brian Varela, flex at PPR. Bam, Olave, Thielen, Hodgins, or Richie James. I can't trust Olave. You know, he's the best player of this group, but he's questionable. Who knows if he's healthy? He gets the Eagles. He's been phased out. You can't play Olave really. Thielen, you know, we say this every week. He's touchdown or bust. I'm not taking a shot here. So Bam is in a good spot, but again, that's as a low end running back two or flex play, but that's more it's more of a floor play in non PPR half. In PPR, I really would rather have a receiver. And between Hodgins and James, if y'all watch the Boom video, it's Richie James. So I know it sounds weird when you got guys like Chris Olave and Adam Thielen in there, but I'm gonna take a shot on Richie James. He's getting targeted a lot. He's got the best individual matchup out of this group. I'm gonna take a shot on Richie James. All right, then we got C Crip. Need a running back and a flex in full PPR. Mike Williams, DeAndre Swift, Lenny, and Akers. Man, am I going to sit Mike Williams in a full PPR league? You know what? Look at it this way. And if you saw the numbers from last week, you see this. Lenny basically put up RB2 numbers on the ground and almost like wide receiver one, like low end, maybe high end wide receiver two numbers also. That's how much he's been catching the ball lately. You got to play Lenny. I think you got to play in this game. I feel like he should have good output. So I'm going Lenny. I can't play Swift over these guys. It's Akers and Williams. I mean, look, in full PPR, you want to say it should be Williams. My worry is that with Williams, he just doesn't get the volume because, look, he will get Jalen Ramsey quite a bit this week. You wonder how much Chargers really will need to pass the ball. Oh, man. It's between Akers and Williams. If it's my team, I'm putting Akers in there. This is one where I could see Chris probably leaning towards Williams. I don't want to speak for him. Don't know what he would do. I know, and it's because part of me is saying it probably should be Williams. I'm feeling good about Akers this week. And look, I don't want to go, even though I'm usually the one who'll say, look, logically, what should it be? Who is going to get more touches? Who is in line with the best matchup? Who it maybe would make more sense to play the guy who is projected for the point total. That's Mike Williams, but I can see Akers having a bigger game. I feel a little bit better about Akers scoring upside. I'm going to go with Akers because you know what? If Mike Williams outscores Akers by 2, 3 points, like whatever, I'm probably that won't cost you your matchup. If Akers scores 2, 3 touchdowns and Williams doesn't, that might cost you your matchup. So, all right. So, Scheiden, do we get the money now or like after the fact? Okay. Andrews is correct. Well, we're not going to know this is correct until next week, will we? Or until at least after like Monday. All right. I'll take you up on that offer. If it's my team, if you got Mark Andrews, Dawson Knox, or Komet, I'm definitely going Komet. Maybe it won't be right, but look, Mark Andrews is not playable. He hasn't scored now since week 6, I think. Dawson Knox is banged up and he's a sometimes targeted tight end. Maybe he does something, maybe he doesn't. I'll go with a guy who's going to be probably the top target on his offense because I got nobody else to throw to. And gets to play against the Lions. I'm going to go with Komet. Like, that's actually a pretty easy decision for me. All right. So on Tuesday, when we do our waiver wire start, sit, everything kind of show on Tuesday night, check back in here, Shiden, and we'll see if we nailed that one. I hope we do. Not because I need the $100, because I want you to win. I'll take the $100. All right, Brian Baker, Minshew, White or Purdy? I can't go White. I know that a lot of people love White, but again, this is where I always try to caution people: don't get carried away with narratives in media coverage and the way people or players are talked about and portrayed. You know, Mike White was like the second coming of Joe Namath after he won one game because Zach Wilson was just so bad. Look, if you're a Jets fan, like, yay, love Mike White, great. He's fine. He'll have some big games. He'll put up some yardage. He's also a guy who's never really put together a string of good games. And I mean, even real life good. Because if you remember, even after his first game this year, where he was all so great, he came back and he threw what, 2 interceptions, didn't have a touchdown. Like, come on. White is fine, but no. Minshew, Purdy, I said it before. These guys are kind of neck and neck for me. I'm giving the slight edge to Purdy based on matchup. And I say that because not that I'm worried about New Orleans defense in any way with Minshew. I'm worried that Minshew really doesn't throw the ball that much because New Orleans just sucks. So I'm going to give the slight edge to Purdy. Wow. Okay. If you're serious, you have 10K on the line. So if that's the case, then yeah, 100 is nothing for you. I really hope we do get this right. Look, that's not changing my mind. I'm gonna go with the guy I think is the best. Honestly, if you are rolling at tight end with those 3 guys, I'm going Komet. I feel like it's a good Komet game, but also really I don't feel like it's good for those other 2 guys. I'm really pulling for you. Big money league, yeah. Yeah, that's what you call a big money league. For me, a big money league is like $25 buy-in. So, but anyways, hey, I mean it when I say good luck. And now I really want you to chicken Tuesday night because I want to know if you won that league for sure. All right, Shad. So, guys, this is a good time to mention that we will still be here for you, for everyone, week 18. A lot of people still play in week 18 for their final. We're going to be here for you because that's our commitment. We want to help you win no matter what kind of league you're in. And maybe you just want to come back and check in with us on Tuesday. I hope a lot of y'all come back to post those dubs. Tell us that you won your league, that you got the championship, or maybe, you know what, it's not always going to go right for you. It's not. There are going to be some bad breaks. You're going to have some random guy on your opponent's team that scores 3 times, like a Shane Zylstra or something. It's gonna happen, right? You're gonna get a bad break. Your stud player is gonna, break his ankle in the first quarter. I'm just warning you right now. There will be some bad beats. It happens to all of us, okay? But if that's all right, you come back with us Tuesday. We'll celebrate the wins. We'll cry over the losses. Um, Check in with us on Tuesday night where we do our show, and we'll do that. And we'll still be here on next Saturday to talk start sit to help you who are playing week 18. All right, let's do a few more. Great Scott at tight end. Here we go. Andrews, Goddard, Komet, or Higby. Okay, so I can definitely not start Andrews, which is again amazing that we're saying Andrews is a clear sit out of that group, but he is. I like Komet a lot, but I'm going Goddard. I feel a little bit better about Goddard in terms of floor. I think Goddard could have a big game. It's close between those two. Higby would be very interesting, except that now he's questionable, and you can't bank on him doing what he did last week. He's a good streamer, but you don't need a streamer when you have. Which, by the way, how do you have all four of these tight ends? This is what I'm really confused about. You've been hoarding tight ends, or what? I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna go with Goddard in this case, just over Komet. Look, if you wanted the boom play, you're going for it all in big money league, like Scheiden, or you're just needing that upside, you feel like you need to take a chance, go Komet, but I would go Goddard. Kevin, Dow, Ayuk, or Juju? I will say I like Ayuk this week, but you should probably give the edge to Juju. I feel like Ayuk probably doesn't have quite the ceiling as Juju. And it is full PPR. Juju should get targeted a lot. Look, on paper, it's a terrible matchup, but it was a terrible matchup for him a couple of weeks ago, and he had a huge game against Denver. So I'm going to go Juju in this case. Yeah, I'm hearing you. High country, you got 1,200 line. Thought that was big. I mean, that's okay. Realistically, that's not true. My biggest money league is that 1,200 line. It's $100 buy-in, 12-team league. So that's usually what I do every year. Yeah, that is big for like 99% of us. So I get you. All right, what's up, Chris? All in. Full PPR, 2-1, and a flex. Okay. Fournette, Robinson, Mixon, Algier. Oh man, you're gonna do this to me. You're gonna list like all these great running backs, and you saying pick two. Okay. Well, I think this makes it easier because you only need one receiver, but you need a flex. I don't love your receivers this week. I can say no to Evans. I can pass on Gabe. I'm going to flex a running back for sure. Okay, so let's do this. Let's work backwards. Chiefs or Giants in defense? I'm going Giants in defense. All right, I'm going Giants defense because they're facing the Colts. At receiver, look, you want the guy with a bigger ceiling. It's probably Chark. London might be a little safer, but if it were my team, I'd probably go Chark. Now, at running back, I think I have to start Fournette. I love Robinson this week. I think I even now like Robinson over Algier. I think, and then again, it's full PPR. I mean, I hate that I'm saying no to Algier, but I have to start Mixon because it's full PPR. You have to start Fournette, Mixon, and I'm going to go Robinson over Algier. Gibson out, smash spot against Cleveland. So I hate to sit Algier, but in this case, I will. So Fournette, Robinson, Mixon, Chark, and Giants. I get if you want to do London over Chark. I'm fine with that too. And then, well, this answers your question, Mr. Jones. B Rob or Algier? I'm now going B Rob. PPR really doesn't matter because neither of those guys catch passes. So at this point, yeah, I have to like B Rob. All right. What else we got? Interesting. No. Try to get some questions from guys we haven't talked about yet. All right, that's a fair question, High Country. Do I think Devontae Adams cares about this game? I mean, he's the kind of guy I feel does. I mean, I get it. He has every reason to be checked out. Obviously, this team is going nowhere. Now they just benched the quarterback who was not only a starter, but his guy, the reason he came basically to the Raiders, not the only reason, but the main reason. Um, Maybe he doesn't care, but I think he's a competitor. I think he does care. I think he'll still be out there. He'll still be targeted. I wouldn't start James Cook over him. No, I mean James Cook, you're taking a real chance that he does anything. So I feel like Adams isn't a must sit. I think he's okay. Look, obviously, I'm not calling him wide receiver one this week. You can't love him, but I still think I'd play him over a guy like James Cook. Juan Lopez, look, Kamara, B Rob. I'm easily going B Rob. Love Robinson this week. Great matchup with the Browns, terrible run defense. Antonio Gibson not even playing. They need to win. I don't know what's going on with Kamara. He's playing, sure, but he's playing Philly. He hasn't been that great anyways. I'm not going Kamara. I'm definitely going with B Rob here. All right. And then this is an interesting one. Francisco Pacheco, Minshew or Rogers? I am going to go Rogers. Look, I've said it before. He's not putting up big fantasy numbers. They're winning, but because they're going through the run game, their defense has been much better. He's been efficient, at least more efficient, not vintage Rogers efficient, but you've got to like him better in this game because it's the Vikings. Enough said. So I'm going Rodgers. He's definitely got that upside. All right. And then a couple more here. By the way, last chance here. Got a few more minutes. No, everyone's got some plans tonight. At least I assume you do, even if it's just chilling at home. So, last chance. If you do throw a super chat in there, guarantee I will answer it. If not, I'll just do a few of these questions. I'll try to get to some I haven't talked about yet. Some guys that I haven't thought about. All right, so let's do. I love how everyone's got these same running backs. It's not like Akers and Dillon and McKinnon. Look, the fact that you guys have. I'm looking at this one by the way specifically. You got McKinnon, you got Akers, you got these guys. A lot of you people have had these same running back groups. I know what that means. It means you've been watching our waiver wire videos. You've been checking us out because you picked up McKinnon a couple weeks ago and we said you have to pick him up. You picked up Akers when he was dropped earlier. That means you're active. This is why you're in the championship. This is why you're winning. This is why you have tough decisions to make because you're not picking from, this trash bench that some people have because they didn't get active on waivers. They didn't prepare for the finals. You have good choices. So the fact that you get to choose between Akers and McKinnon and Dillon, this is a good thing, right? We're going to get the decision right every time? Of course not. But be glad that you were smart enough to be in this position to begin with. All right. It says a lot about you guys, not just us. All right. So if the Rams are good, I'm guessing you want Akers. I would go Akers, and if it's Walker, Kenny Walker, I gotta play Kenneth Walker. All right, so I'm gonna go Akers and Walker. All right, all right, appreciate that, guys. Yeah, hit the like button. We'll put this here in the bottom as well. If for some reason you haven't, hit subscribe. Going almost in 3 hours here, guys. I want to get to all the questions we can, but time running out. So let's see. Spider fries. I remember spider fries. Uh, no D Hop, Kamara or Marquise Brown? Wait, in a four-man league? Okay. Um, I'm not playing Kamara. I'm not. I'm going Marquise Brown. I think he's a little bit of a safer pick. So locked in Kamara. All right. Appreciate that, High Country. Glad you're with us. Stay with us, man, all off season. Tell you guys again, we're going to be doing mock drafts, putting out draft ranking sleepers, all the stuff for next year. I'm ready. I'm excited. I'm already ready for next year. But of course, hopefully be celebrating some championships after this week, especially the one where I'm playing against Chris head to head. All right. Let's see. Logan. What's up, Logan? Half PPR, Najee or Mike Evans? Oh, man. I don't love either one this week. Half PPR, I'm probably going Najee. I am. I'm probably going Najee. Not loving it, but I'm going Najee. Mike White or Watson? In this case, I'll go Mike White. just based on volume. Watson has not been good, and he really doesn't have a good matchup at all on the road against Washington, which is a pretty tight defense. Can't play Watson, so I'll go White in this case, and probably Najee because it's half PPR. And then Daniel Hernandez, thank you, appreciate that. Goff or Lawrence, I'm torn on that too. Look, I think I still have Lawrence ranked a little higher, like barely. It's like Lawrence, Cousins, Goff, they're all kind of right there, that low end QB1 kind of range. I can definitely see Goff putting up bigger numbers, but I feel safer about Lawrence. It's Houston. They're going to still throw the ball. I'm going to go Lawrence if it's my team. But look, if I feel like if you want to chase the higher point total, I can see going Goff. I got no problem with that. It's really close. Juju or Pacheco, I can definitely go Juju here. Definitely go Juju. If it's half or even full PPR, it's easily Juju. If it's standard, I'm probably still going Juju. Um, it's on paper, you'd think it should be a benefit towards a running back. That's not how this game played out last time. And Pacheco, he just doesn't catch passes. He hasn't been scoring. I'm gonna like Juju better. Mondre or Algier? I'm going Algier. Questions about Ramondre's health, questions about his usage now with Amon Harris back. Just go Algier and don't even worry about it. He's not a must start. Ramondre is not a must start. And again, we haven't heard that he's not playing, but he played last week. And what did he get you? He got you nothing. So definitely got to be concerned. And it's not as good a spot as you might think. Miami's run defense has been decent lately. I mean, if they're giving up big plays, it's usually in the passing game. All right. And the last couple here. Last chance, by the way, guys, and get you a couple more here. I always like to do this lightning round at the end, so I'll do some quick ones. Dorcher Dobbs at the flex, high five. I mean, if Watson plays, I go Dorch. If Watson doesn't, I go Dobbs. That's what I've been saying all night. I'm going to stick with that. I think I have to answer this question now. Shiden, I really want you to win that. If assuming this is the same league, but now I'm just rooting for you. All right. Pick two and half PPR. Cooper, Judy, Pittman, Moss, Akers. I can definitely scratch off Pittman and Moss. I definitely like Akers, and I'm going to go Judy. I mean, unless we hear something about Judy pregame that he's going to be limited. He's saying that he's going to play. I go Judy and I go Akers for sure. All right, then James Johnson, Swift, Montgomery, Fournette. If you're picking one, it's Fournette. If you want a second one, it's Monty. I put Swift third out of those guys. And then let's see, Tyrese Lopez, full PPR flex, Judy, London, Pacheco, McKinnon. You just need one for the flex. If it's full PPR, I'm gonna like Judy. Um, London is kind of a decent floor play here, but you gotta like Judy based on what he's been doing lately and what he did, of course, to Kansas City. Definitely more touchdown upside than London. London's been really involved. I like the target share. He's not getting in the end zone too often lately. That run game should be in control this week. I'm gonna go Judy, and I probably am maybe never gonna be this high again on Jerry Judy, but look, you never know. We'll see what kind of Broncos offense we see here with a new head coach. And then Hector Padron, B Rob, Akers, Fournette, Etienne Algier, pick three. Okay, so once again, you picked five of my favorite running backs of the week, and you're forcing me to sit two. I feel like you cannot go wrong, honestly, with any of these guys. But look, I think you have to start Etienne because it's Houston. I have to go with Fournette because he's getting the volume. Again, they're going against Carolina. They're going to use him a lot. I feel like if it's full PPR, you have to go Fournette. I love Algier this week, and I like Akers almost as much, but I got B Rob now ahead of those two. So if it's my team, I'm going Etienne, Fournette, and Robinson. That's what I'm doing. All right, Daniel. I see you. Don't worry. Pick three, full PPR: Sanders, Walker, Robinson, Algier, Hollywood. All right. I'm definitely going Walker. I'm definitely going Robinson. Look, I don't hate Sanders this week, but I'm still going Algier over him in full PPR. I still feel like I like Algier better than Hollywood because we don't really know how he's going to fare with David Blau at quarterback. Um, I know the matchup is great, but man, I'm going to go Algier. I know he's in for a pretty big game. So I'll go Robinson, Walker, and Algier. This is my team. All right, and then let's do one more. Yeah, well, waiver wire, that's what I'm saying though. You got to play the waiver wire. You got to be smart here. All right, here's a question. I know I have not talked about Latavius Murray tonight. Latavius Murray or DPJ? Can't love DPJ this week on the road. Washington ain't doing it for me. I don't love Latavius Murray ever. At least I feel he's got a shot for a touchdown. He could get some touches. I mean, if I have to make a choice here, I'll go Latavius Murray. All right, and thank you, Royal Flush. Flying solo. Yeah, we're about 3 hours in. Look, I appreciate that. Appreciate you guys. Just want to say thank you to everyone for sticking with me and for Chris and I all season long. If you've been with us, if you just joined, glad to have you. Guys, there's a lot of things you can do if you want to be part of the endgame community. And when I say that, it's not just like a, you know, buzzword or some sort of a catchphrase. You check out the Discord. Look at that below. There's a link also in the description. Join the Discord. It is free. You can get all the latest NFL news in our news channel. It's always posted like within minutes of breaking. Somebody's on it. We got a news team. We also have Start Sit channel where you can ask these questions in there any time of the day. And even if we don't get to you right away, if you tag us, we'll almost always answer it if we can, Chris or I personally. Somebody else will also help answer. We got some great, really smart guys in there like Keith, the Weather Beast, who's always on top of things. We got our tech guru, Nate, who's always happy to help also. We have all sorts of guys who will be glad to help you and give their 2 cents. You can also throw a poll in there and just kind of crowdsource and see what the community thinks. All sorts of other stuff there. Too many channels for me to even think of. Waiver wire channel. We'll have also when we do our mock drafts this off season, which we do all off season, the link will always be dropped there first in the Discord. So if you really want to join and be part of the community and draft with us, join the Discord. And of course, you want to support us just to support us, or if you want access to all the things we're going to put throughout the off season, join the Patreon, right? Patreon.com/fantasy football endgame. All right. And then last thing here, Chris all in got a super chat right before the clock hit 0. I love that it's a kicker question. Look, kickers matter too, especially in your championship week. So you got Carlson, Koo, Dicker, Gano, or Robbie Gold. Now, this isn't supposed to be like a terrible cold weather week like last week was. You still prefer a guy in a dome. You prefer a guy, of course, on a good offense. Gold in Vegas, very interesting to me. Koo is also interesting because that's definitely going to be a nice, cozy temperature in his dome. But again, I guess Cardinals, I think they could be pretty good. Dicker's fine, but I wouldn't put him over those guys. No, I don't feel like they're going to put up a ton of points. Carlson's been pretty good, but I cannot trust that offense as much as the others. If it's me, if I just want the safe point total, I'm going gold. That's it. I'm going gold. All right, guys. I think that will do it. And then Niners defense, Casey. I mean, come on. You got to go Niners defense for sure. But I want to put up because it's Happy New Year. First champ Teresa saying first championship. Okay, I'll have to answer this. I feel like I know it's almost time to go, but I got to answer this. Looking for a wide receiver 2 and a flex. Judy, Zay, Dotson, Algier, benching Pittman. Smart move. Okay, at wide receiver, I think I still have to put Judy because of his upside. He's been good lately. He's getting a ton of targets. It's a great matchup. Zay has that boom potential, but also risky here. Dotson been great, but look, Judy the last 2 weeks has been actually just as good. Last, I think, 2, 3 weeks when the last time they played, if you add that total from the KC game. So I think I would go Judy, and at flex, I'm going Algier. If it's PPR, I know tempting to go with a receiver like Dotson, but I'm still feeling the big Algier week. So I'm going to go Algier there, Judy and Algier, and definitely good luck. Hopefully you get that first championship. All right, guys, that'll do it. Last thing I'm going to say is Happy New Year. Everyone be safe, have fun tonight, but of course, be careful and be around for tomorrow so you can watch your team rack up those points in fantasy. We'll be with you on Tuesday night to answer some more questions. And of course, hopefully you guys post those dubs, see what happens. And I think we should be with you also tomorrow night for our instant reaction show. So catch us that. If you don't know, when we're going live, it's really easy. If you haven't already subscribed, you should do that. Hit subscribe and hit the notification bell so every time we go live, you'll be notified. All right, guys, good luck in week 17 and Happy New Year.